The trek.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's it. That's bad yesterday.
Yeah, I see that this morning. This morning I seen that. This morning, like, that's like, holy, that's going on.
People talk about 25 centimeters or something. I think that's more north. Like,
yeah.
That's when
I seen it. I was like,
So yo, other brothers who came from Jersey sent me the USAR video. Call himself the president.
Yeah. That's Cameron's people. That's who Cameron is.
Okay, I just wanted to.
As the president.
I don't know any little details, but when I know these guys, like it's hard. You know what I mean? Like
it's crazy, bro. Crazy.
I don't know why he sent it to me, but and I just discussed it with him, like.
You want to nugget? Is that
president?
Yeah, those. What do you want? Nugget? Nugget. That's nice. We're working on the juice. As you see, weather may seem a little. The lady was supposed to come with the juice, her car broke down, right? Yeah.
The attendance. Yeah. Beautiful. That's not for the next day.
Oh, you know, I want to know this. You want that heater right there? I took it from my work. It's a industrial. And I got a 220. I don't know if you're going to use that kind of thing, but I just felt like
you want some?
No jackfruit. I know everyone's like, you know, I was just telling the it's always like, whenever you have the jackfruit, no one wants the jackfruit. Then you don't have the jackfruit, no one wants the jackfruot. But I think the jackfruit is the winner.
Jackfruit's got to come with shelter comes around.
Yes. I don't know what's going on. Another nugget. Obviously, you can see that last nugget. It's a lot more. I'm good. Oh yeah? Yeah. After January holidays and all that, or you were there for that too?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
The last day of teacher is I stayed there.
Oh, all right. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. You were leaving that day. Yeah. You made your. I guess you made your plane. Peace, Morris. I already had one too earlier today. But this is what I was trying to use more for. Let's ride more. Space these. Peace, more. Five on the left, 2 on the right.
Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, to His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Ashe. Islam. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their carding button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. Islam. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, this is the instruction from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone, many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. So, wanted to put out there again, you have one of these on your chairs. During the convention in 2007, Moors who were active and around the presence of Hakeem Bey, Dr. Aleem, and certain people they put out, I think Asir too was one of the people initiating the idea of there being a treaty between the Europeans and Moors, that Moors should have something for themselves in order for them to have peace and friendship amongst each other. So this was 2007, and again, it's something that we're just putting out again because we realize that after we came into the Moorish movement in 2008, there's been a lack of peace and friendship amongst the Moors. So like we were talking about back then, we had pretty much only master teachers at that time. Like there was students and there was master teachers in 2008. The idea of the idea of dirty Moors or whatever was only limited to temple people who went the other way after the prophet transition, right? So, the reincarnated people, the naturalizing people, but there was only Moors. Now it's just everywhere. Anybody could say that whatever regards to Moors, people could talk crazy about Moors. Everybody wants to debate the Moors said this, why the Moors say this, the Moors are, none of that stuff was going on, no way. So some of the ritual is just bringing back certain things so that we can get the energy out there again. So this was the peace month. This was the and if anybody has if anybody left boots out there, you can actually bring them in and just put them in here. Moorish Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 2007. We, the undersigned Moors, find it necessary to enact a treaty of peace and friendship among ourselves in order to foster unity among ourselves. Since 1929, there has been a proliferation of many Moorish individuals, groups, bodies, organizations, nations, etc. Although we might not agree on every topic and issue, we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. We all agree that we must practice our 5 principles among ourselves as handed to us by our ancestors and given to us by our Prophet Noble Ali, namely love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How can we promote and teach these principles to the world if we do not practice it among ourselves? If our ancestors were able to enter into treaties of peace and friendship with Europeans, we should definitely be able to enter into a treaty of peace and friendship among ourselves as Moors. This treaty is very simple, so it can be agreeable to all. If we are to practice the 5 principles among ourselves, then we should be able to agree to the following. So one of the things to bring up that when this was initiated, anybody who said no withdrawal didn't bring that automatically got shimitar. Right? Because it's not about what did no withdrawal bring or didn't bring. We already know what he brought. This has to do with Moors looking at themselves and realizing that they probably haven't done anything for the past 80 years, 90 years. So how about we put some things in place so we can start doing some things, but doing them based on like what was said, what the Prophet brought. Right? And don't tell me about he didn't bring the treaty, so we're not going to have nothing to do with that. Right? And again, this was a select group of Moors that we would say are active Moors. That there's always people who are against Moors who are taking this out to the people so that the people know about this. Hi. Good? Don't know yet? All right. Right, so treaty is very simple and it can be agreeable to all. So when you bring up Morris Treaty of Peace and Friendship to individuals. If they've been in the Morris movement pre 2008, they know about this. Right? They definitely know about this, and they took the position of not support this, or not be down with it, or not talk about it. Same thing that they did with the stuff Drew Ali said to read every meeting that people didn't read. Right? So from the Morris who don't have this, you could just write these down and carry with you at all times. So this is how it should be with Morris. It shouldn't even be an issue. We agree to practice love among ourselves. We agree to practice truth among ourselves. We agree to practice peace among ourselves. We agree to practice freedom among ourselves. We agree to practice justice among ourselves. We agree not to kill or harm one another in any way. We agree not to slander one another. We agree not to backbite one another. We agree to work in cooperation with one another. We agree to build institutions that will foster and promote unity with one another. We agree to be industrious in building a social and economic base for our nation. We agree that united we stand, divided we fall. This treaty was put in motion on the new moon on Thursday, October 11, 2007, and shall be perpetual. Islam. If anybody has any thoughts on that, you could put those up right now.
Hold on. I think you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Well, I would just say that people put unity in the question of, in the context of a question, a lot of the time, within not just the general community, but within like the Moorish community too. And to me, that's just taking a step backwards. If in 2007 we already have been doing this type of thing, and even before that, certain things have been going on across long distances, the planet, from the southern so-called United States to Canaanland, and even to other places in South America, Central America, and around the world, to turn around and say, we need unity, where's the unity? To me, that's ignorance. And it's not to say it in a disrespectful manner, but they're ignoring what is already there, and then questioning if it's there. That's when you ignore something, that's ignorance, ignorance. And then people want to get in their feelings because you call them ignorant about something. But it's straight up ignorance. They have to own that. And anybody who goes around talking that talk has to own that. So that's my piece on that. I'm tired of hearing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm tired of that question.
I was just thinking, I guess it was the same team that I was on, which obviously if they had printed this out then, and that was 12 rotations ago, and we're no farther ahead. I think the home health operations are working quite well. Though I do think that this is great because it does stand 2 and 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
To me, obviously, this was
Some thought was put into it.
This was
celestial thought. Yeah.
This was ordained to be. But we now have to. This, like you say, has to be worn in our breasts. Right? This has to be like on our lips at all times. If we were anywhere near that, then we wouldn't be suffering and facing the things we're facing now.
Any other comments on it?
Well, to me, it just seems like it's a slow process for a lot of us. Due to lack of knowledge, really. Like you were saying, like now there's so many people out there, proliferation of information that's put out that's not quite correct. And although there's unity among the some people may be moving in directions that aren't necessarily conducive to what this, especially the last 4 points, working in cooperation, building institutions and big industries, and building those networks. We need to focus a lot more on building those networks. Not that they're not there, we just need to continue, you know, to the process of making those a bit stronger, be more aware, so that the community at large can see that it's there. Like we know it's there, because we're here. But the community at large doesn't necessarily know that it's there. You know, hedges and highways kind of thing. It needs to be put out a little bit more.
Hey, John, I second that. I second that for sure. Like, I'll talk to people who don't know much about the movement. You know, that maybe just I'm the one who introduced them to duality. I'm the one telling them about the movements for the first time. And, you know, like peers, people that I know went to school and stuff like that. And they ask me also, like, how big are you, you know, is this thing? Because I never heard about it. You know, in terms of your community, I tell them straight up, like, community is millions and millions. It's every so-called black person you ever when you go travel on vacation and you see us, you know, in Cuba or the Caribbean or wherever you go, that's the community. You know what I mean? And then they might ask, well, specifically how many people are on the knowledge, and I'll tell them it's the same regions, but obviously the numbers at whatever present time are what they are. Like, you know, there's so many in Canaanland, there's so many in, you know, Mecca, Chicago, there's so many in, you know, so-called Caribbean, South America, Central America, but yeah, there are actual temples set up all over. And so just that, and certain ones that are already working together. So that in itself kind of sometimes is a surprise to them. You know, it's like, oh, like you guys, you know what I mean? Like they get it, and they're just there, almost waiting for it to just, like you said, to build up to a certain point, because they know that if there's something about it that, you know what I mean, it's fundamental to what they're about and what they, you know, where their so-called nationality came from. You know what I mean? Because I tell them straight up, like, bro, before, when your country was still part of a colony, that's when Drew Ali came and started talking and stuff. Like, no disrespect, but your people were under some European rule for the most part. Most Asiatic people in the 1920s, even the biggest countries in the world today, you know, India, China, not all of it, but, you know, they had Hong Kong up until 15 years ago. You know, like India is the third country in the world to create an atomic bomb. And they didn't get their independence until the 1950s. You know, they're one of the top 10 GDP countries in the world. Like, think about that. You know, so that type of logic and reasoning, like it penetrates a sharp mind. You know. So.
Anybody else? Any more?
I was gonna touch on there's a treaty here and how it's fostered and how you have, you know, certain individuals that have been in the movement for a long time. I'm not gonna go about certain individuals, but it causing a lot of confusions in the social media world in terms of videos that they're pushing out and saying that they're for the profit in certain terms of the way they're doing it. It'll make you seem as if it's done out of love, truth, peace, you know, freedom and justice, but the way they do it is you have to question yourself in the sense, because then you have a lot of Moors now waking up and realizing that, you know, certain Moors are the videos that they're pushing out, you know, they're saying that they're for the profit, but it's not, so it's creating a lot of confusion. So this treaty right here, you know, all it says, you know, we gotta practice, you know, these principles among ourselves as Moorish Americans. You have certain individuals pushing that
love, truth, peace, freedom, justice.
Yeah.
In like a disguise, in a distinctive way, and,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. And it's creating a lot of confusion, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta analyze this from another perspective too. You know, it's like who is actually the ones that are with the prophet, you know what I mean? Like down with the prophet. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna name out certain individuals, you know, but there's videos out there right now, you know. I'm sure you know what I'm leading to, you know, creating a lot of confusion in the social media world right now. You know, so it's like we can practice this among ourselves, but like the prophet said, right? You gotta be careful because there's some fezzes and turbans that are going to keep us in slavery, put us back in slavery, right? Right? And there's certain pieces of information that are leading to that certain individuals' type of behavior in the way that was just putting the pieces together. That puzzle, you know?
Which leads to the second part of today. Rules of disinformation. So in going, especially with the whole online studying wave, because we know that again, when we go back to '08, people who were gonna half-ass with this didn't even bother getting involved, because one of the things that you have to do to get information was go to a library. You know? So when we're saying to go get information, go check this website or whatever like that, go talk to these people, go watch these videos, like it's never something vague. Like we're telling you where to go online. Not telling you just go Google Mars and see what comes up or whatever. We're sending you to a direct place, please, Mark. Right? We're sending you to a place so that the information that you're getting is pertinent to where it is that you're trying to be, which we know where we're trying to be is Allah and man being one and the same. Right? Once we get there, then everything else is gonna work according to how it's supposed to. So, rules of disinformation. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Regardless of what you know, don't discuss it, especially if you are a public figure like a news anchor, etc. If it's not reported, it didn't happen, and if you never have to deal with the issues. Become incredulous and indignant. Avoid discussing key issues and instead focus on side issues which can be used to show the topic as being critical of some otherwise group or theme. So part of that was I saw more asking the chat today if the Moors saw one of these conscious whoever's Garfield went live about debating the Moors and the Hebrews and this guy and these people and all these people. Everybody wants to debate who's has the right, whatever, right? Those are those side issues. Because real issues, what's your nationality? Everybody else around here has one. So we have nothing to debate until you start talking about you have a nationality. I don't care what it is. It could be Senegalese, it could be Congolese, it could be whatever. If you look like Moors and you want to say, well, you're not Moors, okay, then what's your nationality? If you don't have one, shut the hell up. We don't need to debate. We don't need to call into your thing to talk to you about anything, because there's people who sat down with Taj 10 years ago and they're still black today. There's people who interviewed Raz and they had the camera and they brought the books out and all that stuff. They're still black today. So obviously, they have an agenda. Because certain people also got asked if they have certain books. You got Black's Law Dictionary? Yeah, I got that. You got Etymology Dictionary? Yeah, I got that. So if you got all that stuff, then how you talking about you're black and African and indigenous and aboriginal and all this stuff that have nothing to do with nationality? Right? Create rumor mongers. Right? Going back to what you were talking about with this online thing now, that whoever could put up something and say that they're whatever, president of some whatever, we're president of something, and you know, we are the Moors that are sent by Allah to do whatever for all the Moors, and then all the Moors chase them for 6 months, and then that stuff falls to nothing, and then all these Moors who were chasing them for 6 months, then those Moors disappear because they should be talking about how much of clowns these people are. That stuff, they only brought stuff for 6 months and it's done, and everybody was put all their energy into that, and it went to nothing. But then the people who've been doing the work or whatever, they're not getting any support. And they actually should have gotten the 6 months people support that who followed some clown, and now their stuff is not even going on anymore. So there's always going to be the rumor mill spinning. Always. Somebody throwing something out there, because we say delegation of authority, people who got killed by police or whatever, we're at fault for that. Right? Creating things in order to sway attention. All right? Use a straw man. Finding a AKA to use in order to push whatever it is that they're pushing. Don't worry. So when you have like people who are questioning something relative to what Moors are teaching, just like when we deal with the tribunals or whatever, when we're dealing with these people out here, especially when February's turn around and certain people are going to be talking crazy in February, they're going to be doing that under the guise of something that they're not, or aka a straw man. So they'll be pushing, say, slave myth stories under the guise of being some African whatever slave came over here by some Europeans. That's a straw man. That's not really who they are. Straw man's not limited to all capital letters name only. Like straw man's limited to anything artificial that's pretending to be a person, just like they were talking about. They gave because of some whatever at a zoo or something like that, they gave monkeys some legal status of persons or something like that, so they could be protected. So they made monkeys legal persons to protect them from being violated by somebody who's violated. Yeah.
It's like the same thing with the gorilla when he got habeas corpus.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Gorilla got a habeas corpus. Judge ordered habeas corpus, not like judge ordered habeas corpus. That gorilla right there, that gorilla has habeas corpus rights. He's a legal person.
Do you know sign language?
He knew something. He knew something.
That's not telling you something like what is giving it to an animal, right? That stuff belongs to
Definitely doesn't belong to flesh and blood beings.
What are you saying by doing that? Hello.
Right? Oh yeah, and this one too. 1854, the People versus Hall. California Supreme Court case ruled that the testimony of a Chinese man who witnessed the murder by a quote-unquote white man was inadmissible, largely based on the prevailing opinion that, remember this is 1854, and tell me what this sounds like. Largely based upon the prevailing opinion that the Chinese were a race of people whom nature had marked as inferior and who are incapable of progress or intellectual development beyond a certain point, as their history has shown, differing in language, opinions, color, and physical conformation, between whom and ourselves nature has placed an impassable difference, and as such had no right to swear away the life of a citizen or participate with us in administering the affairs of our government. Remember, we're talking about the straw man. The People, Respondent versus George W. Hall, Appellant, Supreme Court of the State of California, 1854. Mr. C.H.J. Murray delivered the opinion of the court. Mr. J. Heidenfeld concurred. The appellant, a free white citizen of this state, was convicted of murder upon the testimony of Chinese witnesses. The point involved in this case is the admissibility of such evidence. The 394th section of the Act concerning civil cases provides that no Indian or Negro shall be allowed to testify as witnesses in any action or proceeding in which a white person is a party. Right? Remember, Chinese witnesses we're talking about. And they're talking about Indians and Negroes.
Yeah.
But they're talking about somebody Chinese. The 14th section of the Act of April 16th, 1850, regulating criminal proceedings, provides that no black or mulatto person or Indian shall be allowed to give evidence in favor or against a white man.
So they categorize me as mulatto.
Right? Or black.
Yeah.
Or Indian.
Yeah.
But they know he's Chinese though. They're not assuming that he's Chinese. They know that they're talking about somebody Chinese. The true point at which we are anxious to arrive is the legal significations of the words black, mulatto, Indian, and white person, and whether the legislature adopted them as generic terms or intended to limit their application to specific types of human species. The Act of Congress, in defining that description of aliens may become naturalized citizens, provides that every free white citizen, etc. If the term white is used in the Constitution, as used in the Constitution, was not understood in its generic sense as including the Caucasian race and necessarily including all others, where was the necessary of proving for the admission of Indians to the privilege of voting by special legislation? We are of the opinion that the words white, Negro, mulatto, Indian, and black person, wherever they occur in our Constitution and laws, must be taken in their generic sense, and that even admitting the Indian of this continent is not of the Mongolian type, that the words black person in the 14th section must be taken as contradistinguished from white, and necessarily excludes all races other than the Caucasian. We have carefully considered all the consequences resulting from a different rule of construction and are satisfied that even in a doubtful case, we would be impelled to this decision on the grounds of public policy. The same rule would admit them to testify, would admit them to all the equal rights of citizenship, and we might soon see them at the polls, in the jury box, upon the bench, and in our legislative halls. This is not a speculation which exists in the excited and overheated imagination of the patriot and statesman, but it is an actual and present danger. The anomalous spectacle of a distinct people living in our community, recognizing no laws of this state, except through necessity, bringing with them their prejudices and national feuds in which they indulge in open violation of law, whose mendacity are proverbial. A race of people who nature has marked as inferior, and who are incapable of progress or intellectual development beyond a certain point, as their history has shown, differing in language, opinions, color, and physical conformation, between whom and ourselves nature has placed an impassable difference, is now presented, and for them is claims not only the right to swear away the life of a citizen, but the further privilege of participating with us in administering the affairs of our government. These facts were before the legislature that framed this act and have been known as matters of public history to every subsequent legislature. There can be no doubt as to the intention of the legislature, and that if it had ever been anticipated that this class of people were not embraced in the prohibition, then such specific words would have been employed as would have put the matter beyond any possible controversy. For these reasons, we are of the opinion that the testimony was inadmissible. The judgment is reversed and the cause remanded. The People versus Hall, 1854. Then they're still doing it because the people still stateless.
Yes.
The people still want to be what they're not. And as long as they want to be what they're not, then it is what it is. It's like
when you try to accomplish yourself, they still want to stay there.
Yeah. Right? Because again, it's like because we're so far off, we're so far behind that we start talking sense and they're saying we're crazy.
When I went to testify, they said that it would show against me because some religions and things like that allow people to lie. And I looked at this woman straight and said, I haven't told you my religion.
Right. Why you even bring
I told you my nationality. And beyond that, where's this prejudice coming from? If you didn't understand what I'm saying, why didn't you ask me?
But again, by asking you, they open up for discussion that they don't want to have. Because the whole point is that we're supposed to be, incompetent, and we're supposed to be all the stuff that they're talking about that doesn't qualify you to even have rights, much less some privileges that we could give anybody else that comes here or whatever like that. Why are we going to give them to you? You're below the animals in the field. But again, once we start talking like we know, once we start talking like we have some type of knowledge of self, then these people get threatened big time. Sure. Which is the thing that we're bringing with the Moors with exercising rights. That you say you want to go, we're using right to travel, for example. That it's not going to be less hassles from them if we have our own stuff. Because now they know we don't want to be part of their stuff. They know that we have influence on others, because majority of people are raped by the corporation that's dealing with licenses or whatever. Majority of people are raped by them. So we start talking about, you don't need nothing from them people. That's finance that they're not getting, that they're gonna have to get some other kind of way. And majority of the time they go find in order to get finance that they can't get from some regular way of getting finance. Like everybody else has to go out there and work. They say we're gonna park up cars or whatever like that, and we're just ticket people all day to make our finance. We'll just put a yellow thing, give out 10,000 yellow things. Give out some green ones, give out some whatever other color ones, and then just set up an office and people are just gonna go just line up. You're never gonna question nothing. That's how we want to make our finance.
And they fix it in a way that if you pay in 15 days, you pay less.
Right, right,
So you gotta go line up soon. Hurry.
Yeah. Right.
Or come fight us and miss a day of work.
Yeah, right. So you still lose some finance, and they get some because when you fight to go there, they're getting paid.
Yep.
That's what I told you.
Usually make it enough less than a day's work so that They always like, you might as well just pay.
Because you just, right? They make it right around the amount that you would get for a check. No?
Oh, I noticed too that they're saying that the Indian is not a Mongoloid.
Yeah, yeah. A Mongoloid.
A Mongoloid.
Yeah.
And that basically what they're saying is that the Chinese is black.
Yeah.
So they said the Indian is not a Mongoloid, and they're saying, but basically a black person is anybody who's not of the so-called white race.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's black and white. So on a higher level, they're descending from true like natural law, free white person, and then people who are basically uncivilized, the way they're describing it.
Yeah.
In their description.
And then
they're making it more of a social definition, but in reality, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? In
They
reality,
switch the roles. They make the statute black, white, whatever like that be the real thing as far as, oh well, we're judging these people's intellect by how they look, but then identity, they're dealing with what it actually is.
Yeah.
But it's only for those who know. If you don't know, you'd be saying like these people are talking crazy. What do you mean the Chinese guy is black and then Indians are not from
like
what is it? They're telling you.
Prove that for how long? Measuring heads and stuff like that.
Yeah. They're telling you. They're letting them know. And then also too with the Mongoloid point, they're disconnecting Indians from Bering Strait and all that story.
Yeah. Because
if the Indians aren't Mongoloids, then who are the Indians then?
Yeah, exactly.
If they never came over here on the Bering Strait, then who are these people? Because the only people who came over here on the Bering Strait was Mongoloid.
Yeah. And then also, the point is that that was the state of California that's perpetuating that.
Yeah.
Which is modern times, the most liberal state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very open and welcoming, and come to California and peace and love and all that. But that was just like 1850s.
1850s. Right, which again goes back to them and their colonial activity with getting rid of Mexico and claiming their
They are Japanese or Chinese?
Chinese.
Chinese. Which one is that?
I can't remember.
Yeah, well, Japan is an island.
Yeah, I can't remember what this.
One of them told me one day he's not Manchurian, he's Mongol or whatever. He's not Manchurian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Mongol.
He's the Mongol. Yeah. Sides.
You understand who I am?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's one day, because it could be like the more we reveal that we know, the more they reveal that stuff isn't really how it is or whatever like that. Let me tell you how it really is. Because they know that us being awakened again into knowing who we are is doing something for the world at large. If we know who we are, just us in the jurisdiction of North America, right? When Moors in different places, they'll tell you how much positively reinforcing interaction they have with people from the East that see them dressing like Moors, talking like Moors, speaking about from a historical perspective, who's who and what's what. They acknowledge everything and then always give them some more stuff. Yeah, Brother Corbera.
I was just thinking of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
He's
Mongol.
He cut right through Asia and Europe too. We're going to talk about Mongols as if they're less than you. how did they manage to, achieve that?
Yeah.
They had a huge empire as well.
Live in a tilted hut.
Yeah, same thing, right?
Yeah.
But I guess if you don't know that history, you would just take what they're saying as true.
Yeah. Sidetrack opponents with name calling and ridicule. Hit and run. In any public forum, so to put this in perspective with the great debaters that do their YouTube, whatever. In any public forum, make a brief attack of your opponent or the opponent's position, and then scamper off before an answer can be fielded, or simply ignore any answer. This works extremely well in the internet and letters to the editor environments where a steady stream of new identities can be called upon without having to explain criticism reasoning. Simply make an accusation or other attack, never discussing issues, never answering any subsequent response, for that will dignify the opponent's viewpoint. Question motives. Twist or amplify any fact which could be taken to imply that the opponent operates out of a hidden personal agenda or other bias. This avoids discussing issues and forces the accuser on the defensive. Invoke authority. Claim for yourself or associate yourself with authority and present your argument with enough jargon and minutiae to illustrate you are one who knows. Play dumb. Associate opponent charges with old news. Establish and rely upon fallback positions. Using a minor matter of element of facts, take the high road and confess with candor that some innocent mistake in hindsight was made, but that opponents have seized on the opportunity to blow it all out of proportion and imply greater criminalities, which just isn't so. Others can reinforce this on your behalf later and even publicly call for an end to the nonsense, because you have already done the right thing. Done properly, this can garner sympathy and respect for coming clean and owning up to your mistakes without addressing more serious issues. So that's, for example, with people who keep telling people about put the clean glass next to the dirty glass because they know that they did dirt. So as soon as, for example, with people who came out of the Moorish movement in the 1920s, they're constantly putting out this thing of, don't worry about back there or whatever, even Moors today. Don't worry about what happened in the past. Let's just move forward in unity because we're Moors and all that type of stuff. Yeah, but half you people are part of why we have nothing today. No wonder you don't want to draw attention to what happened back there. Because you guys are the same line of people. Still around today. Right? Again, doing this this disinformation agenda. Because remember, as like we were saying earlier, they don't want this to be out there. They want this to be limited to here. Right? In there was, I think it was Cleveland or somewhere, but there was somewhere where there was a temple where it was mandatory that when you get inside the temple, then you put your fez on.
Really?
When you leave out the door, you can't leave out the door with your fez on.
That's weird.
Right? Because they don't want this to be out there. Because if this is out there, it's so that people are going to stop and ask questions like, hey, what are you on? Right? Enigmas have no solution. Drawing upon the overall umbrella of events surrounding the crime and the multitude of players and events, paint the entire affair as too complex to solve. Right? The same thing they do with the sellout of Noble Drew Ali. And if Garvey has audio, where's Noble Drew Ali audio? They're around the same time. What's the issue? Tell me nobody at Morris Science Temple was recording? Nobody?
Recording device was existed at
And recording it, and because again, we got Garvey audio. So if we have one Garvey audio, then okay, we know why there's no Noble Drew Ali stuff. But there should probably be about the amount of speeches he had. There should be ample amounts of stuff, even with Garvey's voice, that is not around right now.
120,000 words.
Like 120,000. Nobody said, hey, we should probably start recording some of these or whatever. No?
Yeah, it was the dirty ones that came up with that.
Somebody had it. Somebody. Alice in Wonderland logic. Avoid discussion of the issues by reasoning backwards or with an apparent deductive logic which forbears any actual material fact. So the against Islam and against Noble Drew Ali people would use this one regular. Alice in Wonderland logic. That the reasoning that they have behind something is because of, you know, well, the feds came from Turks or whatever like that. So that can't be your culture. You know, when we know Turkey has stuff before them. That has nothing to do with those pale people that they see today there, right? They do it with the Moabites thing a lot. They bring up incest and the Canaanites. Oh well, that's incest, and the Bible says stuff like that or whatever. When that has nothing to do with anything that is relative to us, because we look at I can't remember what I was talking about, but we were talking about how if Bible's been tampered with, and Quran's been tampered with, and Torah's been tampered with, and everything that's called the holy book's been tampered with, then you're a goddamn fool. You think Noble Drew Ali brought something so perfect and Morris didn't mess with this right here. Mess with the Holy Quran. You go through that, you're reading some words like, why would it say that? That doesn't make any sense or whatever. But people mess with the stuff. In order for that, you know, when the site comes back around, now people could look at it and say, oh, see what they did, see whatever. When that was internal things to try to get people to look at this one. Right? Again, the whole idea of disinform people. Fit the facts to alternate conclusions. Vanish evidence and witnesses. Emotionalize, antagonize, and goad. If you can't do anything else, chide and taunt your opponents and draw them into emotional responses which will tend to make them look foolish or overly motivated and generally render their material somewhat less coherent. Not only will you avoid discussing the issues in the first instance, but even if their emotional response addresses the issue, you can further avoid the issues by then focusing on how sensitive they are to criticism. That's why certain wars shouldn't be debated. Like certain Moors should just set up a ring and let those Moors go fight these people. Don't let them debate, because their energy is not. They're gonna get beat up just by their emotions. But those emotional people, just set up a ring and put them in a ring with these clowns talking crazy about Moors. I bet you debate's over 10 seconds with those Moors, those highly emotionalized Moors. That people know how to use them. Right? Especially with the online thread stuff and say a comment and then somebody doesn't have to say anything because they're not there, and then, you know, hour later you go back and it's 50 million things or whatever. And everybody's talking like there's some type of reality going on when that's virtual. Ignore facts presented, demand impossible proofs.
I didn't know, like, I wasn't sure about the.
False evidence. Call a grand jury, special prosecutor, or other empowered investigative body. Manufacture a new truth. Create your own experts, groups, authors, leaders, or influence existing ones willing to forge new ground via scientific, investigative, or social research or testimony which concludes favorably. In this way, if you must actually address issues, you can do so authoritatively. And so the whole thing with create their own experts, groups, or whatever. So conscious community, all these people, everybody's a doctor of something or whatever like that, but they don't have anything to show they're a doctor of something, right? Create bigger distractions. Silence critics. And last, vanish. If you are a key holder of secrets or otherwise overly illuminated and you think the heat is getting too hot, to avoid the issue, vacate the kitchen. That's why we ask people, when you come into this information and we start saying that we're Moors, and then we go into other forums or whatever to deal with people. And there's people talking crazy, they want to debate, they want to do whatever. And then we have 3 years later, these people aren't around, you know that they did their job of causing whatever confusion it was that they were supposed to cause. Because why are they not around anymore talking that crazy stuff they were talking 3 years ago? How come they stopped? You know, did somebody tell them, okay, you could stop now? You know, did they, was it them on their own? Right. We were speaking earlier before class about the importance of the family and how we got to a certain situation where we are. You want to do that thing right now?
So I just had a question. I've been looking to ask this question, and hopefully everyone can answer, because I come from this. How many of our families, mother and father, are still together? I'm asking, show of hands, how many mom and dad are still together? Married? What, 2? You're saying, I see a half hand. Is that a hand? 3? 3? 4? So 4 out of what? 15? Or 4 out of 15, right? So that's 25-30%. So that alone right there, if you're looking at it from a, we're also going to read out culture here, but if you're looking at that from a position of a nationhood, of let's say the tribe or family being the strongest core, 3/4 of us don't even have a secure family base. How are we as a people going to succeed? And then how many of us now, let's say, we gotta ask that question, how many of us now are married and still married? Right? You go around and find out, right? How many of us are single parents? Right? So anyways, so those kind of things, that's where Cujo and I have started to see this, that really, the sorcery that was done to us was the annihilation of our culture. And so then, at the back of the administrative handbook, and I don't know if more have this, but this was left for us too, to put our government and our nation back together. It has all of the answers, I feel, on a mundane level for us. So it's this, what was I saying? Culture, but I was also saying character, culture. Okay, so character is that quality or combination of qualities that distinguishes one person or group from another. It also refers to one such distinguishing feature or attribute, being a characteristic. In a broader sense, character is a combined moral or ethical structure of a person or group of people, and is a measure of their ethical strength, integrity, and moral fortitude. This is usually the standard upon which reputations are built to a positive or degraded for the lack of character or integrity. So, to me, I ask us, what is our moral character? Right? What is that? What can we walk the streets and say, hey, that's a moral? Naming that. And then the next one after that, which is interesting, is culture. It relates to social and intellectual formations and the totality of socially transmitted behavioral patterns, such as institutions, arts, sciences, beliefs, etc. It is a style of that social, artistic, or intellectual expression displayed by a particular body politic, nation, society, or group. So I ask you again, where is our moral culture? Do we have that? That's why we're in the state that we're in. But it starts off, first of all, with the I, the triangle within, the mother, father, son within, to the mother, father, son of my family, and then that of my nation. So what things, what are those things that we have that we can say that we stand on? When I look at our group over the last period of time that I've been here, I don't see anything to great degree except saying that we're Moors. And then it's all being defined on how we're fighting this European. I don't get it. And everything that we're defined by is what we're trying to sort of, I don't know, free ourselves from that stuff. But the slavery is mental. It's not even physical. When we break it all down, we all know it's mental. All of us. We all know what's up. They all know what's up. Yet we still keep going back and sitting down at the table with them. So I know, and what Cujo and he's seen it too as he started, because I've been doing a lot of work on myself to understand what things, and let's say this, just to say that we have a family together and mom and father are together, don't mean that anything's any better either, to great degrees. I was talking about, telling Cujo about this is just speaking candidly. My mother and my father I don't see very often. I was having a conversation with my mother, and she was telling me, oh yeah, that's the lady that he was having an affair with when we were together. That was 35 years ago. And what she was telling me was that her understanding was that, that's what he said, that's what this was about, which is that he was going to have multiple women. And I think we look within our culture, and our cultures, and we see a great degree of that. We either see, a multiplicity of families coming from sort of, a mother-father set, and then you've got, people having multiple families, brothers and sisters that are sort of step-brothers and sisters, fractured families, these kind of things. And then when we start breaking down these sort of behavior patterns and the things that we were raised with, it's no wonder we're in the state that we're in. How do we undo that? The first thing in my belief, in my shape, is we have to know what the problem is. First of all, we have to identify the problem, and then we got to start trying to unwind it and undo it. And then, if not, put it in its box and move on. But until we can identify those things, they got us. They're always 2 steps ahead of us because we're always dealing with the symptoms of the problem, not the problem. Right. So, this can move into the stuff that, because some of the Moors have been talking about this right to travel stuff. And I gotta tell you, I want to be there too. But my greatest problem, as I've seen within our group, is that we already know this with some of the Moors that we see out there that are causing nastiness and evilness out there. And it's not, and we're not set for that stuff too. Because as Cujo and I were saying, it's like people think, for example, that, okay, we're not gonna pay our license, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do that. Well, when the Moors come back into power, you're gonna have to be making contributions to that stuff. And that more than likely, you know, as an example, smoking weed while you're traveling in conveyance is probably not gonna be okay whether the Moors are running the show or the Europeans are running the show. But yet Moors are still getting drawn down with weed and marijuana and all kinds of stuff in their vehicles. Right? So if we're supposed to be trying to live in a certain way, which is supposed to be higher than the people that supposedly are helping run us or sort of caretake us, then of course they've got the moral and the ethical sort of spirit behind them, because we're still acting like children. And then if we're supposed to be having families and having these things, and then we're watching baby mama drama and all kinds of stuff, then ethically and spiritually and morally, that stuff is behind them again. Because we ain't even running our own shit. And as I said to Cujo, they're laughing in their little lodges right now. Okay. So, as I said, we have to really start taking a serious look at this stuff, because we are 2 or 3 steps behind what they're about. And the first steps are the spiritual part. And all that other stuff is all the stuff that they've got us confused with. And got us circling around to get some, because what they know is it's all in the illusion of it all anyways. So you're gonna sign off on this to get that. Somewhere in there, as long as you're signing some piece of paper that they've created, or some concept that they're on, you've lost the whole essence of this. Of course, I get it. You've gotta be in this place. Like I said, we need to start making some changes within ourselves. We've gotta circle the wagons, and we need to step forward. But then also, I think we owe it to all of ourselves to sort of, you know, we should be riding on all these dirty moors. You know, because really, you know, I don't know. I don't hear about the dirty Filipinos, but I'm sure they're out there. I just hear about the Filipinos. I don't hear about the, well, I mean, you know, you think about the Russians, I don't even know, their whole image is kind of crazy. But, you know, I don't hear about, you know, even the Germans, I don't hear about the dirty Germans. All the bad talk they do with the Germans are still running around as if, you know, everything's all hunky-dory. You talking about them, but what you realize is they're on the Nazi thing, right? But really what that's really doing is the connection back to the Moors. That's really what that is. They just had some little lady from Thailand had some swastika on her thing, and they wanted to ban her. But you realize that what that really is they want to take you away from that spiritual symbol, which is what gives us all that power. And now none of us can pick up without saying that it's somehow against the very people that it's about. It's a mind gap. There's a people here within this group. We have to come together, really come together. But part of the problem is that, you know, it's like a garden. There's weeds growing up all over the place.
Keep cleaning and growing. Let's keep cleaning the weeds.
Well, right. We got, you know what? We got to start. We got to be cleaning. We got to be cleaning. You know, we got to get away from talking about cleaning
And start cleaning.
and actually start really cleaning and holding people accountable. Numbers of Moors here have been here for a minute. We've seen them come and go, right? We've seen them come and go. And we need to just, well, some of them haven't gone. Some of them have actually taken this and really continuing to do some bullshit. Yeah, that's where it is, I think. And I think the world is up for us. But as I said, what is our culture? That's why I created Moorish Culture Club a few years ago, to start getting us to think about what that culture really looks like. When a person sees, you know, like, you see it already when we're with our fezzes. We're getting some of that stuff already, right? From what that fez. So half of them don't know what you're on, and half of us don't even know what we're on. But I think it's really about us strengthening our character and our culture. How did that happen?
Well, just wanted to add to that. I think there's a story that was said about the prophet earlier on when he was speaking to one of his presidents when he was getting the flag back. And I don't remember what president I was, but the story was that the president said to him, you know, giving Islam back to the blacks is like trying to put, you know, pants on a horse, right? But I think the solution is in our Quran itself. If you look at holy instructions for, you know, young men, you know, marriage instructions for man and wife, duty of a husband, holy instructions for thy children. If deeds of chosen for us the problem. Even at that mundane level, if you're operating there, these issues that we've all had, we've seen with our parents. I have the same issue with my parents. I had the same issue with
Your seat up
my parents.
from the heat.
Oh, no!
She got to it.
Okay, good. It's a good thing I had a couple of those. No, but those ideas, though, those basic ideas, like I was, my own family when I was young, I was thinking, okay, there's certain things I'm not going to do. And as I was going through my married life, it's like, I gotta avoid this. Tried real hard, but I ended up doing them anyway. But as I came on the science, the solutions was right in here. These basic little things, if you don't move from that fundamentals, like playing ball, football, whatever, you get taught the fundamentals. Like, no matter how good everybody thinks of Michael Jordan, right? But coach always goes back to fundamentals first, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing with your marriage or any part of your life. It's always the fundamentals first. Like, to me, reading these little pieces in here at that mundane level, that's the solution right there. If you can stick to that, going forward, and you're young and yet unborn, to solve for them. You got to give them that too. Right. So I see that. I know we've all gone through the madness, right? We're still seeing it with our own families, but if we can get a little bit of this to them as well, we'll solve that problem going forward. It's here for us if you want.
Speaking about the Quran, one of the readings today was chapter 19. So as we go through, if anything stirs you, just shout out. We'll build on it. Chapter 19. Jesus appears fully materialized to the eastern sages in the palace of Prince Ravana in India. To the Magian priests in Persia, the three wise men speak in praise of the personality of the Nazarene. Ravana, Prince of India, gave a feast. His place in Orissa was the place where men of thought from all the farther east were wont to meet. Ravana was the prince with whom the child Jesus went to India with when 12 years old. The feast was made in honor of the wise men of the east. Among the guests were Mengski, Vidyapati, and Lamas. The wise men sat about the table talking of the needs of India and the world. The door onto the banquet hall was in the east. A vacant chair was at the table to the east. And as the wise men talked, a stranger entered unannounced and raised up his hands in benediction and said, "All hail." A halo rested on his head, and light unlike the light of the sun filled all the room. The wise men rose and bowed their heads and said, "All hail." And Jesus sat down in the vacant chair. And then the wise men knew it was the Jewish prophet who had come. And Jesus said, "Behold, for I am risen from the dead. Look at my hands, my feet, my side. The Roman soldiers pierced my hands and feet with nails, and then one pierced my heart. They put me in a tomb, and then I wrestled with the conqueror of men. I conquered death. I stamped upon him and arose, brought immortality to light, and painted the walls of time a rainbow for the sons of men. And what I did, all men shall do. This gospel of the resurrection of the dead is not confined to Jew and Greek. It is the heritage of every man of every time and clime. And I am here a demonstrator of the power of man. Any thoughts thus far? Yeah, Mark.
I was just seeing that basically when the prophet said that he taught everything that he was going to take to save the nation, he was going to have the one-on-ones, maybe you can read the one-on-ones at another point or whatever, and the Quran. I took this chapter to really be, because if you look at the Quran, you see it's broken down into different components. And I took this to be like this final sort of message to us through so-called Jesus and our relationship to the divine. It's saying that we are all of that. we are all about being immortal. So that also says in another chapter in the Quran, I think it's maybe chapter 32 or something.
But he didn't call Jesus a Christian.
That too.
Say that again?
You didn't call Jesus a Christian.
Did I say Christian?
No.
Sorry, no, but so what I'm saying is that the message really there, from my perspective, is sort of, when we talk about these holy books, to me, what is really being stated there is it's a process that he's talking about, that when we get to that level, this sort of mortal, this mortal husk that we have, it will be given to us the power to sort of sport in both realms. Now, of course, through dogma, they've disconnected us from that and that ability, and they've made it seem that you sort of have to die in the flesh. I think this could be more of an allegory to what this is really about, to the extent of that really we will be able to sport in both realms freely. And then I asked myself, if and when we get to the point where we don't have to worry about these bodily functions, what really will be important to us? Will any of this stuff be important? Once we're able to travel to different universes and different worlds, is our taxes or any of this mean anything? Of course, what it continues to say is that the Europeans convinced us that this thing called death is this thing that we have to fear. And so we run around life every day being fearful of death and taxes, so to speak. And really all of that is an illusion. And that's what he's saying at. So to me, some of the stuff that I've seen, the other side of this, the divine side for us, I think, is finding out how to do that. And what he's telling you in this holy book is that we will all be able to do that. So we should know that, when the prophet speaks, he's talking truth. So how do we do that? How do we get to that point? Should that not be our mindset? So that's what's speaking on that.
To add on to that too, it's the whole thing with the 7 stages, and how he mentions Vidyapati, Casper, and Ashtina, and Philo, he mentions the 7 stages, right? It kind of reminds me of like the 7 governmental locations, right? It kind of back to that too, right? Showing us like, it's like literally like UN, like the UN Council even, like them coming together worldwide. It's like the angels, right?
Yep.
Right? In the 4 corners of the earth, right? Like the 7 stages, they formulate this plan for the coming earths, for the coming ages, right? So we can see, so like how he's saying too, the final message is right there, right? Because even if you look at the mysteries of the Solemn Brotherhood, if you brought up the mysteries of the Solemn Brotherhood, it will tell you, it goes in on that, and how we were just talking about how Jesus went to do dragon death with the Indian there, Or, you know what I mean? It's just showing you that that's what it is, literally we're all one, Ashmina, Casper, they all formulated this plan for the coming. No one's different. Like they literally got together and said, we're all saying, let's see who takes it for what it is, and if they don't, then you know what I mean? It's the template. There's no need to go into case laws. The template set out for us.
So I think that template, unfortunately, this is a problem for us. Like, I really wanted to bring this down to the mundane so we can stay sort of, because this is that town hall's coming up in a month. And we were talking about certain things about, for example, getting our right to travel going, as an example. And so we were saying, okay, well, we're going to go under the guise of insurance, not insurance, right? And that we're, or better yet, we're going to start up our own insurance company, right? So that's going to take finance and donations and stuff like that. You can't even get Moors to a great degree to support their nation and sort of, that idea of it, and sort of the nuts and bolts of it. How are we going to, from a perspective of, let's say, we do have plates tomorrow, and we're like, okay, here are your plates, right? You're not going to have to do the same bullshit that you would have to do to the European, running through all of these hoops. How are we going to enforce anyone honoring any of that? And then how do we enforce that? We don't have muftis. You see already that Moors are doing what they're doing, right? Yet we're hoping that they're going to be in the spirit of it. But we can't control anyone from doing anything that on a given day if they want to go do something. Right? I mean, you're watching them, they're not doing it already on the other side. So how's that gonna happen when they're getting even more free? And then, as I said, you know, we seem to be one of the only set of people that seem to be having such a hard time sort of getting people to put their energies into this. So, I mean, this is where I have the issue, and all of us who've been here for a minute have seen people who've come into this, taking this, and Cujo and I are using this analogy now. It's like we've got a young little tree here, and it's a fruit tree. The tree's gonna need a couple years to grow. And people are coming in and they're plucking the leaves off the tree.
Use water, use nutrients.
Right, but remember this, you can't feed off of that tree till it gets to a certain size. So, but right now, 90% of us are taking the immature bulbs, whatever, right? We're taking the wood to make, you know, sticks out of, we're, you know, taking the wood to burn fires with, we're taking the leaves to make tea. We're killing the very thing that's supposed to save us. And of course, that's a lot of it is from the signs of what they've done to us, because they've set all that stuff up, but they've done it in a wardship sort of situation where they're feeding off, they're digging into your account, saying that you can't look after yourself. But it's the proof is in the pudding because we're not looking after ourselves. It's a crazy Pandora's box.
Yep.
And really what it would take is, because any other group here, you see, they just get together, they start forming some shit. Before you know it,
They got their whatever they got. No time. No time. Tez had something.
So sorry, but so
Yeah,
what I was saying, the question goes out there for us, and this is current. How do we, if we're starting tomorrow or next week, we're bringing in right to travel plates, how do we ensure any of that? Who is that given to? How do we stop when some of the dirty Moor sees that plate on the street, going taking that plate, taking that idea, copying it, and they're going and doing some shit, and in time, which is what they've been doing anyway. We get calls every week here.
It's been a week, every week for the past, what, 3-4 weeks or something like that?
4 weeks on some Moor out in Brampton that we all know, doing some shit. Right? So, you know, it's funny, we all want to battle everyone down, but then our own viruses, no one wants to go and deal with. That's another thing, right? We want to go deal with these people, we can't even deal with ourselves. That's why I say it all harkens back to the family too. Anyway, so I throw that out there because to me, I feel that that's part of where this has all gotten to. The reason why we're not getting beyond this hump is because this is that hump. That hump is the soul spirit stuff.
Yeah, the divine which comes before the national.
And once that happens, everything will open up. That's how this building was created. I'm not saying that we're gonna sacrifice the soul, the spirit to get to something, because obviously it's not happening with the body politic, so to speak. Then now the body politic is here, and then they're wanting, in general, as they're getting picked off, rather than sort of seeing this as something that they need to sort of get up and redouble their efforts. They're looking, as I said, trying to take a couple sticks off of a small tree to create a shield. Anyway, sorry.
Tez.
Yeah, just before we were talking about which chapter it was in Holy Quran, Circle 7. It just made me think of chapter 1, the first chapter, which talks about chapter 1, the rise and fall of man, which is really like the fall and the rise. Be the chapter. So the title is kind of backwards, but
that could be the sorcery that was played on
Yeah.
in terms of changing things.
Changing the stuff,
The word is the thing. So you just change that word, and all of a sudden it's triggering a different part in your brain.
Yeah, because really, like at this point now, we're on the rise now, back to that the full vast estate, which is what the Quran talks about human beings being the chief custodians of the two realms, the realm of manifest and the plane of soul. And so once we conquer the plane of manifest, which is flesh, earthly things, then we also go onto the plane of soul. The obstacles, like it says, a multitude of innumerable number of challenges on that plane.
Yeah.
Which when we conquer those, then we become again the master of the two planes. And that's the vast estate. And then when that's the mentality, like you said, so many of the mundane things they're mundane, but at the same time, you have to take it a step at a time. You can't become the master of the plane of soul before you become the master of the plane of manifest, because you felt, you know what I mean? We got caught up in the plane of manifest.
Get up where you felt.
That we have that access to both.
But then interesting enough, and this is where I see the quixotic part about it all, is that it says there that all of us are guaranteed a lag. As you notice, in the end, it says that you have the cherubim and the seraphim who are there to make sure that you don't fail.
Yeah.
That's the end of that, right? It says that you will never fail.
Yeah, that's right.
Allah's there, right? So it tells you that you're guaranteed to win.
Yeah.
But then what happens is, to me, the search is for the knowledge of the soul, which, as we know, has been perverted, so that when you're looking for that, you're going next door and singing some hymns, which has nothing to do with what this is really about. Right? It has nothing to do with God. I've saying this to Kujo before. And what they've done is they have made sure, and you notice it, they've stopped at every angle you're going, they put their imprint on. So you have to sort of wade through their shit, which is still your shit, but it's with their flavor on it, or just plain misinformation, so that you're never getting that. None of that stuff going next door and what they're doing there is going to help you get, except for the fact that you're coming together, which is really what it's all about.
Yep.
It's really the circle, right? And rather than letting them free themselves, they're asking for a donation and telling you to come back next week to talk about God.
Based on their symbol and their building, they should be learning about levees and lowering, about dams and river and flooding and stuff, because that's a measuring device. Right. They're not doing the proper thing.
But anyways, I think part of our problem, and not our problem, but part of what we have to start doing is we have to start looking at this as you said, as the analogy of a small little tree. We've got more information, it talks about this, that you're only gonna grow as a tree grows. This is one of the chapters too, right? That really it's purity that's gonna get you to that next level, and that there's not any supernatural acts that are gonna get you there. As Bill was saying, you're not gonna wake up tomorrow with mutant powers, right? And be able to do whatever, teleport or you're gonna have to work, you're gonna grow as the tree grows, which is inch by inch, slowly, the roots growing, as well as the top part. And we have to figure out what that is for us as a culture. We then have to say we're going to be committed to this, and then we got to show up and do the work. Right? How many town hall meetings have we had where you get 15, 17 people vote on something and you don't see those people for another 3-4 months, 6 months, or a year? I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm just not. I can't. I have to sort of. I feel I have to work with what I've got and what's speaking to me. But I think a number of us can see that we've been spinning our wheels a bit. And the only thing that saved us now is because we realize how ridiculous we were spinning our wheels as black people, so to speak. Right?
Some of the prophet says, we're here to think. That's what we're here for.
So there's a lot of stuff I have in mind since we were talking about chapters. Going back to what Umar was saying about culture, there's this one word he said called moral fortitude, and it made me think: how does the word fortitude, with reference to the body, is like the constitution to the body? It's a measure of the immune system and everything like that. Then we were talking about the 7 councils and the seeds being left open. That reminds me of a metaphor about the peanut gland and the whole axis from like the root chakra. When that gland has a lot of blood flow in it, it gets erected and things happen. When we eat, our pancreas does something with carbs, our thymus works when we talk or when we eat iodine. So all these things are working, they're always active, except for this one seed. And the one way we need to activate, this exercise, the peanut gland was mentioned a lot today too, and that's basically 3 days of meditation. Not, you don't have to eat like fasting, but just engorging that part of your brain with blood, and that allows it to decalcify or become less stale, become more brilliant. And so a lot of this stuff I'm hearing, and it's all interconnected from culture, more fortitude, customs for, for union or when somebody transitions. This all comes from self-reflection that we haven't really been getting into, because that will give us the moral compass. But there's also all of these other tools too, like the divine constitution. So yeah, constitution. The important thing is too, when it comes down to practical stuff like the insurance aspect, that would come down to things that we already can do, that we know, like City Hall. Somebody that is active would be able to not only like help the community by saying, okay, in terms of like a trust or a title for their property or their house or anything like that, if they put that together with their community and a trust, and then the trust gets to decide, hey, are you responsible enough to be, for us to assure that your property would assure you conveying safety on others and other people's safety when you convey yourself. And so the council, or like the people in the hall, would basically, listen to the Moor that's presenting, okay, the reason I want to share my conveyance using our communities because I believe I can defend myself. We ask them or her question just to make sure they're on their square. And that way, as time progresses and dues start to come in and it builds a nest egg, sort of that moral compass is there, that understanding of law is there, and community building aspect is there all at the same time. So like it's amazing, because at the end of the day, it's like you have to work on yourself, grow with others, and then come back to yourself and then grow with others. It's that duality where we're talking about the material world and the non-material world. You can sort of work on both. Now, one's going to be a lot more vast than the other, but that doesn't mean only master the material and you never look into the other one. It's like come back and forth. It's just the breath of life in it, right? So,
That's what I was gonna say. Isn't that like the death itself there? Like coming to that realization that, there's a transition going on, not necessarily you physically dying, but understanding that you're a more now. Or when the time comes where you reach that point where you start to say, yeah, I'm going to proclaim and declare, that in itself, looking like that as a death, where you're moving from, that corporate state to your natural self again, as opposed to like physical dying, so another level, probably even before the death.
Yeah.
Of that whole same concept again, right? In conjunction with what this more is saying.
Yeah, hence, going back to the same chapter, a halo rested on his head,
Right.
Meaning that he's activated, right? And the light, unlike the light of the sun, filled all the room. And that was just his countenance, radiance of him slowing it down so that he can be picked up or resurrected. Then he arose and pressed the hand of every man, and of the royal host he said, Behold, I am not myth made from the fleeting of winds, for I am flesh and bone and brawn, but I can cross the borderland at will. Same thing, crossing the threshold from the material, the spiritual, the material, spiritual, come show the layman's, hey, you can be what I can be or whatever like that, and then go over here and be with the council of the gods. And them not even looking at it like, hey, how come you're going back and forth to the lower self to the higher self or whatever? That's just the path. That's if you're not gonna know one without the other. And then you can't stay at the crossroads, because even Drew Ali said after love is other stuff. So you can't be stuck at heart chakra only and not moving back and forth, because you're it's like we had Brother Rennie had put out the challenge of say something positive for 24 hours. Do that. Next 24 hours, no negative anything. Only positive. So you change the frequency, change the vibration. Just with self. Right?
It's funny you said that because a brother, an unconscious Maori, just replied by saying bless. But then when I thought about it, I know it's not supposed to be blessed, it's supposed to be bliss. You try to say it. Yeah. That's a good little,
And then they talked together there a long, long time. Then Jesus said, I go my way, but you shall go to all the world and teach the gospel of the omnipotence of man, the power of truth, the resurrection of the dead. Definitely is not talking about caskets open up and people coming out the ground with the resurrection of the dead. Even though that's how they're explaining his resurrection and whatever like that. Now he's talking about, yeah, everybody's about to be resurrected since I'm resurrected. Right? But people didn't take the lessons how they were supposed to because they weren't looking at it esoterically. They're looking at it as, oh, that's Jesus's path or whatever. Oh, Jesus went through that. Well, one day when I get to heaven, I'm going to be able to whatever. When that, you ain't hear heaven's on earth, what do you mean you're going somewhere in order to evolve? Peace, Mark. Right?
spiritual place to go.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and also too, more in the chat said, don't forget with all the holy books, Quran, Bible, Moorish Holy Quran, Red Book, or whatever, that you have your metaphysical Bible dictionary, so you can take the lessons into those other realms. You know, so it becomes more mystical. The teachings, it becomes more self-refinement and attuning, right?
Become your own priest of God.
Right. The priesthood is dead. He who believes this gospel of the Son of Man shall never die. The dead shall live again. Then Jesus disappeared. Then Jesus disappeared, but he had sown the seed. The words of life were spoken in Orissa, and all of India heard. The Magian priests were in silence in Persepolis, and Casper and the Magian masters, who were first to greet the child of promise in the shepherd's home in Bethlehem, were with the priests. And Jesus came and sat with them. A crown of light was on his head. And when the silence ended, and then also look at, initially the halo rested on his head, and then now it's crown of light. So his vibrations picking up as depending on who he's dealing with. So when he was dealing with Ravana, the prince of India, and dealing with the whatever, he had the halo. And then he goes and now he's building with the priests, the Magian priests, and the people who are of a higher level. Now he has crown of light, opposed to halo of light. Because he's making that transition. Because anytime, snap of the finger, you're going to be God. Or snap, you be the devil and beat somebody's face in. Because you're going to go through it just like that. It's going to be just like that. That who knows? You just happen to be wherever and you know you're more and somebody tap you on the shoulder. Happen to be, you know, Magian priest or a Buddhist or a whatever. You're not going to talk to him like you talk to a Christian. You're not going to engage them like you engage the guy who's debating Moors. You're going to deal with him with the crown on. Then you dealing with them with the crown on, would let them know, oh, nah, he has a crown or whatever like that. Make them put their crown on. So now we could deal on a certain, like what Omar said, because we're on a certain culture, on a certain level now. Because now we're seeing that, oh, this individual's able to be at the level that I'm at. That we can even harmonize and have some type of discourse. Opposed to us, like with us always dealing with people who are in a lower mind, and then us having to go around to the level to meet them. When that going down to the level is supposed to be the same thing, just quick, fast, bam, get back to your higher self. Don't be dwelling down there with them people. In and out. Yeah.
It reminds me of the Bible story with you know, Lucifer going up and down.
Yeah, to and fro. Yeah. To and fro.
Lord.
And when the silence ended, Casper said, "A master from the royal council of the Silent Brotherhood is here. Let us give praise." And all the priests and masters stood and said, "All hail. What message from the royal council do you bring?" And Jesus said, "My brothers of the Silent Brotherhood, peace, peace on earth, goodwill to men. The problem of this age has been solved. A son of man risen from the dead has shown that human flesh can be transformed into flesh divine. Before the eyes of men, this flesh in which I come to you as was changed with the speed of light from human flesh. And so I am the message that I bring to you. To you I come, the first of all the race to be transmuted to the image of Allah. What I have done, all men will do, and what I am, all men shall be." And Jesus said no more. In one short breath, he told the story of his mission to the sons of men, and then he disappeared. The Magi said, "Some time ago, we read this promise, now fulfilled upon the dial plate of heaven. And when we saw this man who had just demonstrated unto us the power of man to raise from carnal flesh and blood of flesh of Allah a babe in Bethlehem. And after many years, he came and sat with us in these same groves. He told the story of his human life, of trials, sore temptations, buffeting, and woes. He pressed along the thorny way of life till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. He is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. He is the God-man of today. But everyone of earth shall overcome and be like him, a son of Allah." Right?
Yeah, that just reminded me again of chapter 1.
Yeah. Right, man reaching deific life. And then chapter 19 being the last of the teachings of Jesus, and then it goes into Noble Ali's teachings from chapter 20 moving forward. Right. And so that was chapter 19. When Sister Khalifa was out here, there was a book by Nora Trasello called The Science of Intuition.
Yes.
How to access the internet of intuitive knowledge. Going back to what Brother Basil was talking about. Chapter 1, relax, step back. For thousands of years, Hindus and Buddhists, mystics have believed that there is one energy in the universe and that the universe and everything in it vibrates with this energy. This is similar to string theory in physics, in which everything is made up of one-dimensional strings which are all vibrating. And then again, chapter 1 again, with Noble Ali telling us that everything is bound to a chord. Right? Every living thing is bound. So what type of frequency are those things that are not in frequency? What are they on? Because everything should be vibrating. If everything is connected to everything, which the universal source is what everything, we know that's not vibrating on off vibrations. So what is it that the off vibration people are on? What are they connected to? Because if we're talking about the universal force that created everything, it's vibrating in righteousness. It's not vibrating in negativity. So whether you think like a mystic or like a modern day physicist, the conclusion is the same. Everything in the infinity of space and the eternity of time exists inside of an energy that's vibrating. To train yourself to feel this subtle vibration and identify what's saying is to have access to your intuitive internet on demand. I must credit Super Learning by Sheila Ostrander and Lynn Schroeder, 1979. Sheila Ostrander, Ostrander, and Lynn Schroeder, Schroeder, Super Learning. The exercises work to master your breathing rhythms and allow you to focus like a laser on any part of your body instantly. The suggestions you give yourself during these exercises are designed to give you the ability to drop into this relaxed, step-back state of mind instantly. Intuition on demand requires this ability to be fully relaxed while having a sharp attention on the energies around you. The bonus of feeling rested and refreshed makes time required to learn the process worth every second. It is imperative to do the work if you wish to reap the rewards. Like going back to the thing we were talking about with if you're looking to get something out the Moorish movement, then there should be something you're putting into. As soon as hands are full and the hands are still getting pushed out to put something in there, you know that there's issues there. So you should be emptying your hands before you pick up something. A farmer doesn't throw a few seeds on the ground and expect to yield a bounty. It is only after tilling, sowing, fertilizing, watering, and caring for his fields for months does the bounty come forth. In this case, instead of months and hours of daily labor, it's only 24 days and 20 minutes of relaxation daily. To enter this state of intuitive relaxation on demand, you begin by training your mind to respond to the words relax, step back when recited mentally to yourself. The objective of this exercise is to instantly place you in a state of heightened sensitivity so you can distinguish what energies are around you. While in the relaxed step back mental state, there is nothing to be achieved. It's a state of witnessing. Once mastered, you will have the ability to focus with laser sharp accuracy on a specific mission, a specific target, while keeping your mind clear. This clarity of mind allows your attention to absorb what's being received. This will enhance your intuition on demand abilities as much as a telescope enhances your ability to explore stars. You will learn to be mindful. Spirituality as protection. Your personal spiritual life is key to ensuring that the intuition and hunches you receive are coming from your highest, best source, God. Spiritual life without discipline is basically a cork floating in the ocean. Discipline builds the ship needed to weather a storm. One discipline at a time. Honoring the Sabbath builds the hull. Fasting builds the rudder. Submission builds the sails, and so forth. Until you've built a spiritual ship that can weather the storms evil throws your way, it's best not to delve into the intuitive world of hunches. With a strong spiritual discipline, your hunches and intuition will direct you through all of life's storms. Often, one of my spiritual prayer partners and I are called to help those who are experiencing extremely bizarre paranormal activity in their homes. The second most common call we receive is about types of possession, attachments, and/or harassment. We've asked ourselves often why people don't understand how to pray and protect themselves and end up needing our intervention. Right? Why people don't understand how to pray and protect themselves and end up needing our intervention. Going back to the thing, even the priests are saying the priest is dead. What do you need us for? How come you don't know how to do your own stuff? We're dead. The masters, the whoever's are dead. You don't know yet that you have to be the one that's going to save self or heal self or whatever it is, then it's going to be a long time here. What we found is troubling. Most people see Satan as a mythology and not a reality. And then again, go back to Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, or you could even look online for what Satan is, metaphysically. New Testament writers testify to Satan's rule on earth. His minions, the other fallen angels, demons, assist him. In a passage where the devil tempts Jesus, the devil declares he has authority over all the kingdoms of the world. Paul throughout Corinthians makes it clear that the world is subjugated to Satan or evil powers, while John's gospel considers Satan the ruler of this world. There are close to 100 New Testament references of Jesus casting out demons. So why do people continue to believe that Satan, the evil one, is at best mythology or folklore? Why do they not teach each other and their children the proper way to protect ourselves from this evil? And why am I bringing it up in this book?
Would you like the definition right out?
Of Satan? Sure, put that up.
Metaphysical meaning of Satan, and then it has in brackets MBD, Satan, Satan, head, liar in wait, an adversary, an enemy, hater, accuser, opposer, contradictor.
Oh, but that's self. That's self that people usually don't want to do it. Because once they deal with that, then they realize that it's them. It's not some guy with a pitchfork running around with them. Unfortunately, those who consider themselves rational and scientific just don't believe in the devil anymore. However, you risk all when you're indifferent to the existence of evil and dive into a world of unseen forces such as intuition. The greatest accomplishment of the devil is convincing reasonable-minded people that he doesn't exist. This grants evil the ability to move undetected. It is human nature to pride ourselves on being enlightened. We do everything possible to convince ourselves we are right. What's more disturbing than ignoring evil is glamorizing it. Young people are captivated by Hollywood and other media creations that portray evil energy as romantic. True Blood, Twilight, Da Vinci's Demons, to name a few, really push home the belief that evil is romantic and sexually desirable, playing on basic human desires. Even more frightening than the romanticizing of evil is its infiltration of our churches. Esoteric scholar, Vatican insider, and best-selling author Malachi Martin, in his book Hostage to the Devil, states, in at least 3 major cities, members of the clergy have had their disposal at least one pedophilic coven, peopled and maintained exclusively by and for the clergy.
That again?
In at least 3 major cities, members of the clergy have at their disposal at least one pedophilic coven, peopled and maintained exclusively by and for the clergy. In the Fatima Crusader, Father Martin said, anybody who is acquainted with the state of affairs in the last 35 years is well aware that the Prince of Darkness has had and still has his surrogates in the court of St. Peter in Rome. Fatima Crusader, Father Martin. I am not implying that everything out of Hollywood is evil and glorifies evil, but to assume these productions are harmless, romantic stories is seriously dangerous. Nor is it my intention to say that all Catholic Church is evil. Far from it. It is loaded with good and holy people. My intent is to make you aware of the need to pray and have spiritual discipline. The devil is not under every rock, but he is under enough to warrant this warning and the need to cultivate spiritual protection. When we start using intuition on demand, a sound way to be sure you're not being influenced by demons is to have strong spiritual discipline. You can't be occasionally prayerful person. Working with subtle energies, we can easily be misguided if our foundations are built on sand and not rock. Having personally seen the trouble in which so many people find themselves and the ease at which they can avoid such turmoil makes it necessary for me to stand on the soapbox and yell pray. The dreaded stumbling blocks. Our feet were once stumbling blocks to learning how to walk. Now we just rely on them without thought. Intuition and hunches are no different. Stumbling blocks are everywhere whenever we take on something new. Stumbling blocks are not bad. They present opportunities to learn how to convert stumbling blocks into building blocks. There are standard stumbling blocks we all face, but once we overcome them, these blocks actually become the foundation stones to our success. Tension, past beliefs, and intelligence are the three biggest stumbling blocks to calling for a hunch on demand. Tension is often caused by our desire to be successful, so we have performance anxiety, even though the only person we are performing for is ourselves. So, for example, with different situations that Moors get in, and their thing is, well, I'm gonna go, and then the Europeans gonna whatever. When it should be, they're gonna go. That's all. Like that's it.
Yes.
Whatever goes on from their side, that's what they're gonna do. That has nothing to do with you. You're not gonna go and influence them to do something. You're just gonna make yourself present. Whether it's dealing with somebody, whether it's court, whether it's, you know what I mean, you know, something in your dream that you gotta face or whatever, you're gonna not try to get from them a response. As soon as you're trying to get from a response, you know that you're not doing it for your upliftment. You're doing it to get a response from them, which again goes back to the ego and having to get some type of recognition when you already know it. Jesus already told you you're God or whatever. What do you need them to tell you? No, Jolly already told you you're not Negro, black, color. What's somebody going to convince you of? Right? But what brought that to mind was the idea of Moors having performance anxiety, because this appears so foolproof, because on paper sounds good, on paper it sounds great on paper, but translating the paper to action is two different things. But it's not because what's on the paper is wrong or you're whatever wrong. It's because we're dealing with an occupying force who's been dealing with Negroes forever. And Negroes are starting to start talking about they're Moors now. Yeah, right. You're not.
Isn't that?
You're Negroes still.
Isn't that manifest?
Say that again?
Take something from paper, it's manifest.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like, we always talk about how we got this new place was spiritual, not physical, because we got some finance. It was spiritually time for that to happen because we've been tracking that. I think it's every 4 years. There's a work with the temple. Like something kicks off in 4 years. There's something, right? So looking at it like that, we're looking at, okay, well, there's things in the background that are playing in order for it to catch up to be at this place where everything's wrong, and then we make sure we get everything, whatever it happened then, okay, then we just wait for the next time when stuff's gonna kick off.
Like just to walk across the street.
Yeah.
No shipping, no.
Right. No. Yeah. All the stuff with the moving and all that. Yeah. Right. You know, so.
But I would like to say that I think the other part that we can realize is that where we're at now, most of us have been here for a while, is that next step that you're talking about, for us, has to be sort of that walking across the street.
Right.
Metaphorically. That's going to be the spirit and the soul. Because anything that we're doing in the mundane, they pretty much
checkmate it. Yeah. It's not going to work the mundane.
Well,
I mean, it's going to work once we have the spirit behind what we're doing.
But then what that would then open up to us, to answer itself, is that you would be looking to nurture your garden. Which would be, what am I taking out there and bringing in here? Not the other way around. So until we see that, that's what happens in every other community. You know, I use the Filipino because my empress works with a lot of them, but those guys, they don't mess around. You know, I tell the story, I sat in line up for 4 hours for some chicken. She wanted to get her some Jollibee chicken. They had students lined up for 5, they had guys lined up for days for Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's crazy. Make mention of it all the time. They had lineups for days for chicken, bro. We can get 15 people in here. Like, it's crazy. And this is supposed to be the nation. We should be, all of us should be real worried. They can get those kind of numbers for chicken. No, but like when you start really thinking about it, it should really F you up. I sat line, I was like, these guys are gonna go. I was back in the line for like 5 hours. Like, no way. It's all right. I said, I'm a man. I'm gonna sit this out. And then I realized that I had nothing on these youth because they had time. They had time. Like that was what they were doing. You know, when you used to sit down and play ball for 8 hours, they were sitting in line. I wasn't gonna outweigh them because there was chicken at the end of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't even the chicken. It was what it stood for. It was their shit.
It was theirs. Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you, it was one of the most divine experiences I had. I was like, okay, people got me going. And I'd see like one person going. It was an old person. I was like, hey, aren't you you thought, yeah, we have school, but we ain't going. School for your chicken, bro. No, I'm telling you.
In all seriousness, though, it reminds me of this media post where this unconscious motivational speaker was talking about a Chinese bamboo tree and how it takes, I think it was like 5 years or something like that, where basically he was watering for 5 years. And like a lot of people come by saying, what are you doing? You're planting something and it's growing and talking everything to him. And then after 5 years, in about, I think it's like a few weeks, it grows like hundreds. Like,
it just goes crazy.
Yeah, like crazy. Like within a matter of a couple of weeks or a week. Yeah, researched out the Chinese bamboo tree. It's like that, you know, they're planting a seed, like, watering it, and watering it, and watering it, and that's just one bamboo.
Yeah.
So there needs to be multiple seeds planted,
Right.
and watering it, and watering it, and then with all those seeds planted and all that time, and no matter what, all those actions and intentions, they count, they all go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all that's happening on these seeds, then with all of those fruits after the 5th year,
Right.
you know, you build from a strong foundation.
Right. Which is the thing with the moors who are declared and the hedges and the highways. Every moor has their pockets full of seeds to go out there and plant. Stuff's gonna grow. You know what I mean? Like, take it from us where there was 2 of us in class in '08. You know what I mean? And we used to do the classes in the flood. How much people we had? It was full, but that was a little room, but
Sometimes we just be paying.
yeah, sometimes it would be just 2, 3 people there. You know what I mean? Right? And then now, there's 9th annual Jolly Day, 60 people in the picture. You know what I mean? Before we even took pictures, there was probably 2, maybe like 3 of them where we didn't even take pictures for those ones. I think the first one that we took was the one at Oisey when we did the stage picture. Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah.
I mean, the second one.
The second one.
The second, that was the second one, yeah.
That was a Pleasant Bay.
Yeah, the Pleasant Bay,
The big
Skype.
Boise Hall.
I was never there.
Yeah, no, I don't think you were there for that one.
In 2 days, we did Pleasant Bay Saturday and Sunday, we did time. Alternative thinking.
Yeah. So yeah, the proof, once you plant those seeds, definitely gonna grow into something. Once the soil's good, of course. Of course, let's not forget that we are our own worst critic. So the tension to be good at something can be pretty high. Now, the good news is that tension can be helpful. It can act as a reminder to use the statement, relax, step back, instantly pulling you into the state of laser sharp concentration and full relaxation to be successful at interpreting the energy. As soon as your mind wanders or your muscles tense, be grateful for the physical signs letting you know your tension is interfering and apply, relax, step back. The next stumbling block is your past beliefs. For most of us, nobody in our past told us it is possible to have a hunch on demand or that it's effective to use your intuition when making important decisions in our lives. Probably the opposite happened to you. You were encouraged to get your head out of the clouds and to focus on the here and now. That wasn't really bad advice because you needed to be out of your head and fully present in the here and now to be successful at intuition. As you call on your intuition, you'll learn that there are specific steps to getting an answer, none of which require you to have your head in the clouds. If you start to think of old beliefs, just be present, relax, and step back. Now meet a real stumbling block, our intelligence. When our intelligence steps in to act as a stumbling block, it usually shows up as doubt. Your intuition brings a result, but thoughts arise such as, this can't be real, I just made that up, or it's my imagination. Albert Einstein's famous quote sums it up, why this is the foundation stone, not a stumbling block. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. When this is just my imagination thoughts start, think of the mental energy body and say to yourself, yes, my imagination will turn the key to unlock this door so I can embrace the entire world. Einstein would be proud. This positive affirmation about imagination will move your energy forward and reach into those areas where hunches wait to be received. You now have all the basics. You have enough understanding about your energy fields and blocks. You understand the 3 foundations. You find your mind and body relaxing and being laser focused simply by stating, relax, step back. So again, this is Oh yeah, last one. Trusting your mind. Earlier we discussed the three main energy fields surrounding your physical body. The third field is the mental field, that which is closest to the universal field of energy. From the mental field, we can ask almost anything and receive feedback quickly. There are 3 steps to remember when asking for intuition from this field. First, relax, step back. By doing this, you immediately put yourself in the mental, relaxed state of focused attention needed to ask a question. I cannot emphasize enough how this simple exercise is the key to calling on intuition in every exercise. Second, word your question in a simple sentence. You can ask as many questions as you like, just keep each one simple. For example, you might ask, should I take the new job across town? And if I do, should I move? This question leaves the door open for confusion, which when receiving your intuition. Was the answer for the first part of your question or the second part? Instead, ask, will the new job across town help me fulfill my divine plan? If you receive a yes, then ask, is a move part of my divine plan? The third part is to request how you receive the answer. You could say, I would like a simple yes or no. Then once you ask the question, try to see the 2 words, yes and no, in your mind at the same time, next to each other. Which of these 2 is easier to see? Which stands out? Which is pulsing or doing something to get your attention? Is one just appearing, no matter how much you try to see it? The one standing out or clearly getting your attention is the intuitive answer to your question. It's really that simple. Let's look at a few more techniques I use and teach for calling on intuition from my mental field. You may desire more information, so I often ask to see 2 or up to 3 paths in my mind. I have each path present, a possible answer, and then allow myself to walk along the path in my mind and notice what I see, how I feel, and if any intuitive footprints trigger. So taking the example above, should I take the job across town, I would label one path yes and one path no. Now that I have my questions and know how I want to receive the information, I can start, relax, step back, repeat the question in my mind, and state I will see 2 paths. And the one on the right represents yes, the other path represents no. As I allow myself to imagine walking down the first path, I notice what's there. What's the road I'm walking on like? Is it dirt, graveled, or paved? What's the scenery like? Are there trees or plants? If so, how plentiful? How do I feel on this path? Are any intuitive footprints signaling me while on this path? After a few moments, I just move myself to the second path and repeat the same walk, observing the same things that I did on the first path. If the path on the left is well paved with large trees, my intuitive footprint for gratitude was triggered. And there's lots of grass, and the right path is a graveled road, a few small trees, and mostly dirt. It's clear to me that no is the answer. I don't simply have a yes or no answer, but a sense that if I did take this job across town, it would be a bumpy road with a few small rewards sparsely spread out, represented by the gravel road and the sparse amount of greenery. Also, it's clear that I will be grateful that I did not take the job over time. You can receive intuitive insight on anything. It's only limited by your willingness to try it and your imagination. So the 3 steps. First, relax, step back. Second, and 3. So the third part is to request how you receive the answer. So that's going back to when we deal with Kabbalion and all is mind and all that. We know that all is mental. right? So you receive what you ask for, but you also receive what you don't ask for. So if you're gonna ask the right questions, but don't not ask. Don't take the position of, well, I'll let whatever figure it out. Actually have something in your mind to put into the universe, so that even if it doesn't happen today, tomorrow, whatever like that, down the road or whatever, sometime the thing will manifest and be like, oh yeah, that's the thing that we put into the universe, and now I know that, okay, so it actually works, or whatever, or it's real, or whatever inspiration it is that is needed for you to get to the next, wherever it is that you're going to, whether you're trying to get to a more spiritual place, a more solidified place on the earth plane. There's things that we could do to activate answers from the universe so that we can be able to manifest what it is that we're seeking. So again, this is the science of intuition, how to access the internet of intuitive knowledge, Nora Trasello. Intuition is data processing too fast for our conscious mind to comprehend. The science of intuition will guide you through several techniques designed to make intuition an understandable common occurrence. When you finish reading and applying the exercises, you'll be able to retrieve answers about relationships, finances, health, and anything else you can think to ask. The answers are the ripe for picking if you follow the instructions on how to plant the seeds, nurture them, and then harvest the fruits of this gift called intuition. The amount of information we have flowing towards us at any given time is immeasurable. The problem is that we don't know how to access all this storehouse of blessings of wealth, love, security, peace, and knowledge. Each of us feels intuitive information represented by an energetic signature, which I call our intuitive footprint. This intuitive footprint is unique to each of us and is essentially our own personal language of intuition. For many years of assisting with healings and clearings, author Nora Trasello realized that many people didn't understand the inherent dangers of being a healer, psychic, or spiritual worker. She began a mission to educate others in the field about how to protect themselves from evil. This book is part of the journey which began last year when she published her first book, The Spiritual Psychic: 4 Necessary Steps for Healers and Light Workers to Protect Against Evil and Demons. She ranked #1 bestseller in mysticism, and recently #1 in good versus evil philosophy. Nora has over 25 years of experience and training in psychic spiritual realm. All right. You want to just open up if anybody has any questions or comments. We could deal with some of those right now. This email.
The ministries of fraud, man. You know what I'm saying? They railroad me a couple years ago, and then they convicted Stroud on three different counts. They convicted Stroud on the failure to show license, insurance, and by the sticker. But I was checking the driving history, and it said that they only convicted me for failing to show valid insurance slip. And so basically, that was the only thing I showed them. That was my first time being under pressure and being run off the road. Right? So I kind of used it a bit, and I gave them the insurance slip to show them that I was insured. I gave them my national ID card and everything, and they run with that. But then they're like, yeah, we can't let you go until you show us that the car is insured, right? I'm like, you know what? Right, so I showed them the temporary slip because it was a temporary place and stuff. And so it turns out that that was the one thing they charged me with. That was the thing that stuck on the system, right? But I have proof that I wasn't sure at that time. So I'm gonna try to get that wiped off the system, then use that and go at the driver history people because like, they validated me by saying that the only thing I got convicted of that day was not having proof of insurance. But I never showed them it. I only showed them my national ID card, really. And they never said that I failed to show a license. You know what I'm saying? So, me, I take that as a win because I ended up paying the fine, but it puts such a cringing system that they didn't know what to convict me on record, you know what I'm saying? So just put that to show insurance. So I got the pay slip that won it yesterday. And I tried to call the insurance company, but because I kind of like put them in the corner last year, I pulled up the Black's dictionary and I was showing them what driving is, that from the top to the supervisor and the owner of the specific insurance company. So when I was trying to get insurance, this thing I don't have no insurance history, so the guys they totally wiped out my whole history. So
That's what you pay, like heavy, right?
yeah, but so I can go about this two ways. I can go at the insurance company and say, wait a minute, so you've been extracting the finance for like 8-9 years, and then you say, so you never insured me, right? Or I can say, use that as proof of insurance, right? Because I got the pay slip and I got the banking information of them extracting the finance. I can go to the ministry and tell them, like, I guess put fraudulent charges on me because, I already showed that insurance. But like 2 ways of going at this, so, out of a bad situation of me just still being me. I'm more after and before, you know what I'm saying? So being me, it's paying off because at the end of the day, the system, like, they don't even know what to do with my case or whatever, so.
I have another way to look at this though too, maybe it's just, in the way the universe works, it's your time to start to do some more, like you've always been exercising, versus getting you to ramp it up a bit.
Yeah,
really sort of delve into this matter, because you now gotta get into their shit. Right?
Yeah, because they convicted.
Again, they sort of work themselves into a circle. But the issue is yet again, and this is what we talked about before, we're still going to them to work the shit out. I was just thinking about this in my mind. There needs to be a third party that could adjudicate over this. If there was any legitimacy to this, you're going to them, they're just gonna make up some shit, bro. You know this at the end of the day. They're gonna make up some shit. You're probably gonna have to pay some fiat if you want to continue to play that game. But you gotta completely sort of disengage from them and sort of, probably live out exactly what you're saying, which is trying to exercise as a more on the land, right?
Yeah, it's a mess on their end because insurance is saying that the I'm unlicensed, and then the people on the unlicensed places say, yeah, I don't have a license on record, but you can renew. I'm like,
you never have one, but you can renew.
No, I know why that is. Here's the reason why. I thought this out. The reason why is because you don't have to be the only one operating the vehicle. See, that's what the deal is. That's sort of the sub-route to it too. That if you could get someone else to put their name up front to get through. Remember we were talking about this. There are other options. The real reason is they can still get your vehicle, which is registered to them, on the road. You just can't be connected.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is if you're going there to do that and everything's in that so-called name and whatever, that's where you're running into all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because what's happened is you've disengaged from the license, which is what connects the insurance to it, and then the insurance, and then you tried to call the insurance company out, or you actually went and battled with the insurance company by calling out. That's right, because they don't want nothing to do with it. So you sort of kind of, you know what I mean? It's almost like you tied your left hand up to try and help your right hand out.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get insurance. They say I don't have insurance.
Well, that's right.
I don't have a license. I'm like, what do you say?
But you sort of created it.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
But I love it, man. It's just more. It's further confirmation for me that system saying like I never showed no license, so I should be getting charged for not showing any license.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The one thing I showed under pressure, I didn't even have to show. Like I just sat down because I had to go do grocery shopping with the lady and stuff, you know?
Right.
So I showed that, and it was a temporary, the temporary insurance where you give you on and you print photocopy and stuff. I showed them that, and then, so over and over in my head, I keep hearing like, college say, like, whatever you give them, that's what they're gonna use against you. Yeah. Right, so I actually had legitimate insurance, plates expired, everything is, but I didn't get charged. Like I got convicted in the administrative building, but they didn't put it on the record. You know what I'm saying? When they put it on the record, it's like they know that I can beat that.
But I gotta say one thing here. I gotta say one thing to you too, though. This is something. My creator, my mom used to be a lawyer, and when I had some problems, I went to my mom's friend, and I used to carry around my old cases. And she said to me, what she said to me is, don't carry your shit around. If you've gotten through something and you still have that evidence, burn that evidence, get rid of it. Because ultimately things will happen. Files will get misplaced. This could be just a case of them having misplaced your file somewhere. You see what I'm saying? That maybe they'll find once you start putting some pressure on them, right? You will have that file because someone's going to pay for this because there's proof along the way. So at some point they got to admit to it. Someone's got to admit to the fraud. You've got proof of this, right? But what we're also saying is it can work in your favor. Certain shit can just go away that used to be there, that used to be on you. They just misplaced it. Don't start asking them to find shit. You know what I'm saying?
So the thing is too, when you're traveling or what they call driving, the reason we don't need to drive is because of our constitution, our treaties and whatnot. So when it comes to insurance, it's the same thing. In the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it's exactly what article, but it talks about passing. If you come across another ship or a vessel that has a flag and they come from a certain nation, they pass. That is the insurance. The insurance is, again, it's an occupation. Right, and our ancestors let them in here to do commerce in our domain. That is their insurance. We ask them, like, okay, that's the insurance. The insurance isn't a lien against a company in case somebody else gets hurt or the stop sign takes you to court or something like that. It's just a treaty of peace and friendship. It's just commerce, right? And so that is the insurance. We know how to defend quote unquote driving. Because we practice that, we talk about that. So that's why they won't put that on the record. But that is the insurance too.
Yeah, I'm just like, and then expired plates, so they didn't put that. Right? So, it's just all of this, so because I don't know which way to go. Like, I can either go after the ministry or go after the insurance, you know what I'm saying? But it's either or.
What was the conversation like when you're in there? How were they coming at you? How did you stand on it? Like how when you were in the tribunal?
Yeah, it is normal, you know what I'm saying? Came in appropriate with the song, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he even said that, he even said that Canada is a construct. You know what I'm saying?
They said that?
Through the country, yeah, he said it's a construct of military people who came together to create a society. You know what I'm saying? So he just started, he just still went through regular ex parte.
Like they,
even that was a mix up because like, you know, I was actually there, so. So I went through their system to try to get me to appeal their way, but then they were saying that I was there. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're both.
It's like parte, but you were there.
Yeah.
And you put represent yourself when they drag you down.
No, my national ID card. They just pulled up everything off of the place.
The picture. So then so technically, that's why they export because you're not there. What you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I said I'm so
not there.
No, but really, but wait a minute, if you're coming in there as the ex-rel, you should be able to speak on that. That's where the whole ex parte
Can't
shit.
be there.
From my perspective.
yeah, but he's still not there though. From their perspective, he's still not there. Even
You're presenting yourself for that straw,
Yes.
but they want
a body.
a physical
Yeah.
body for that straw.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
You're not that.
Well, hold on for a second,
Right.
because I went through this and they did that to me. The issue was that they were saying, and they used a specific example, could my mother have showed up there and said, sorry, Omar's not here right now? Could that not have been something? And she had to acquiesce to say that, yes, that could have happened, because what they were trying to do was ex parte. But I and you, as proper people speaking for the straw, can get an adjournment, because we were speaking for the straw, but they weren't even letting us do
They
that.
call it Asian, like you sent an Asian.
Right, that's right, they were ex parte from the perspective that you weren't there, but we weren't even gonna respect the fact that someone was there. And they were saying,
Because they know that the individual that they want or that they actually do something to is standing in front of them, actually, but not claiming to be the thing that they have jurisdiction over.
Right, so what they're gonna do is they're gonna sort of give you an FU by going through with it, so now you've been found guilty, now they figure if you're lazy and you don't go with it, they get you anyways. Really what you do is you have to go back in, go to the higher court, open it up under an appealable thing, they're gonna kick it back downstairs. I've gone through this before, and then they're gonna dismiss it in the lower case, or depending on the severity of your situation, it may go elsewhere. More than likely, they kick that back downstairs because they can't make a ruling on their brother downstairs and overthrow that. You know what I'm saying? So they gotta kick it back downstairs, and then downstairs is gonna go, hey, we've got you for 5 days. We put on the docket 5 days, you argued with this guy for $1,000 for the week. You lost $1,000 by having to go there 5 times, right? That's the game.
Yep.
What's the importance of being able to do anything with that straw, with that knowledge here?
I think no judge does not to throw it away, because that's proof that there's child slavery going on. Not exactly the actual name itself, but the capital.
Yeah, knowledge
You
here.
know, and the status of black and stuff.
I would say the issue with treating that right now is that you've been inculcated within that right now. And trying to separate yourself from that right now, without understanding the full ramifications of everything in your life to lead to exactly what he's saying right now. They're pretending like you don't exist, right? That's some nonsense. If he paid his fiat and kept his license, everything was good. So I'm saying that's where this is right now with that.
Yeah, I try to get licensed, they say that, oh, it can't, I mean, I try to get insurance, they say, you can't get insurance if you're not licensed.
Before I became conscious and started moving.
So because because I put my nationality on the record, you know, then there's good and bad forces in there, that's, you know, like.
I think it's all good.
It's just, like, you know what I'm saying, conflicting, it's just imploding on itself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's ultimately what it is. It's falling in on itself, and they're trying to prop it up by, you know, trying to seem like they're still legitimate or in control or whatever, when the stuff is falling. You know, like if they're gonna say, if they're gonna give everybody a ticket here, give everybody a ticket, but we gave a nationality card, but when everybody goes, they're doing something different. It's obviously their stuff is messed up, because they should be dealing with everybody the same way. Shouldn't even be any discrepancies of how they deal with everybody, you know. But like Brother Omar is saying, like the using the traveling examples as to why do we use the straw or not use the straw. It's like catch-22 because they're saying we're in it, and majority of us that are speaking against um, um, having license, having whatever like that, it's not because our stuff was good and we want to give it up. It's because these people have railroaded us and now we don't even have a license, or we can't get insurance, or insurance is going to be $8,000 or whatever, which is why we're saying, well, we need to find another way to deal with these people because they're not going to deal with me because of all the stuff that they already forced on me or put on me or took stuff away, and now they're using that they took something away from me to say why I can't do something else. You know what I mean? Or like telling man, well, you know, you didn't have a license, but you could renew and get a new one. What do you mean renew and get a new one if I didn't have one? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean foreclosure when 4 is the beginning and you're doing it at the end and all that stuff?
Or was trying to get the appeal at 2,700, and they'll say, yeah, you'll get the appeal. It's your first time trying to appeal. I say, yeah. And they're like, oh, for sure you'll get it. And then, oh, you got denied. Oh, why? Because the magistrate says that you were there. I'm like, but that's why I'm going for the appeal, because they expired because they say I wasn't there. So you see what I'm saying? So the whole system is just.
See, like a while back when I asked for insurance or whatever, I just got cool and like I got $1,000 a month. So I was doing some research when I heard about free man on the land stuff, and I took in something about private passenger vehicles. There's public vehicles and private passenger vehicles where you're not engaging in commerce, you're not driving. And then so I was like, okay, that means maybe I can call an insurance company and get insurance on a private passenger vehicles. And then I didn't do a lot of research and a lot of calling, but most of the companies said, oh, no, we don't insure private passenger vehicles. That made me like realize, okay, like these things are on the road, these things exist. Like a month ago, I was traveling, and somebody in front of me, instead of Ontario plates, they had Canada plates. I just said, yeah. It just made me ask more questions. And then I was going to one of these courts with some other guys so you can do something. And I'm walking by OPP card, I see, they don't have stickers with dates on them. Obviously, they got these holographic stickers with something, it's the same, but in what time halfway through, I'm gonna go to the tribunals to the court, but they want me to take $5,000 for insurance and a year suspension and all that. Practice, I'm gonna say either way, so that's in my mind, like I'm gonna say like that's immoral. It's just immoral for me. I can't do what you're asking. Like it's detrimental. Yeah, like it does not make sense. There's no justice in this. Like there's no injured party. Like, but even still going to say all that, like unless I really have true knowledge and I'm confident, really, then they're still gonna go around.
They're still gonna go around anyway. So just say what you have to say. Say what you know.
Here's an example I heard just a couple weeks ago. I'm telling you, the Mennonites have their own insurance company. Who's I talked about it. We can start up our own insurance company. We need $1 million. We need $1 million, we have our own insurance company, and we can all be national. You get it? It's that easy. Let's find that $1 million. You got all types of people out there. Find $1 million, we set up our own insurance company. That's how they play the game.
Yeah, I just want to make a note that I don't believe it's an insurance company. From what it's a type of association. Yeah, and it's important to do the research and to know what that is and to comprehend that for the most part. A lot of any kind of like alternatives to the institutions are going to come down to a trust, some sort of trust, and yeah, but the trust factor is something that is basically based upon trust in terms of trusting people, trusting each other. That definition of trust. So that definition of trust is the foundation for the trust that people talk about. The vast estate, trustees, beneficiaries, and then those things are the foundations for banks and institutions, colleges, universities, and those things. So basically like working on the trust factor. Having people to trust in is necessary. Otherwise, there's no real point of even. You are stuck, but that's unfortunately the situation. I mean, you can try, but my personal opinion, it's not going to be a road you want to go down until you till you have that circle that you can say, yeah, I trust these people in this particular matter, in this particular issue, in this endeavor that we're going to do. I trust the people that I work with. Then you form the trust. Then you form operations or business or whatever you want on top of that, if you want or if you need.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, I think her name was Val, one of the more yeah, she was talking about when these court proceedings or tribunals are happening, there's bonds or security on the case, like whatever the paperwork is that they're going through, there's money being made and that's being placed on whether you're gonna pay or not or how long that's gonna take. So like if we have the knowledge to bring that to on the record, then whatever finances are going on for that, it's ours to extract and build.
That's private. It's private stuff.
Yeah, that's their.
But they don't have a license to trade securities, so there's that too.
Right. So if they pay you out, now you're accomplice.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't be doing that.
And it's
like the idea,
taxable.
yeah, like that, like like for example, the idea of playing the straw man, authentic birth certificate, whatever. Those people are not supposed to be doing. Those people aren't the people that should be doing those actions. They're foreigners here. How they got, and then how the natural people go into them on that capacity, like they have that power. You know what I mean? Like so. With the thing that you're talking about with the bonds, it's bringing attention to it, but if they have, like with the example we're here, if everybody's on blanket bond and nobody's bonded really, you know what I mean? Same thing that they do with collection agencies or whatever. They just make everybody check. They bonded, yeah, just check here and whatever like that. We'll bond you under our corporate jurisdiction, so you can call people at 3 a.m. in the morning or whatever. But the individual is not bonded. That's a corporate bond that they put on everybody because they work for them. Unless they bond themselves. But if they bond themselves, then they don't got they got no work now. So it's a thing where, like, even when we were looking at with the Mennonites and them setting up their quote unquote association that deals with the whole insurance aspect. They're in Highway Traffic Act as being insurance that's acceptable according to the Highway Traffic Act, whatever. If you don't have the insurance from a reputable, whatever we recognize, you can have the Mennonite one and you'll be good still as far as being insured. Which lets you know that they're in the pocket.
And they're kind of giving us a hint.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I'm saying. I'm giving you the thing that are,
there's avenues. There's avenues to deal with it. It's just, being able to deal with it. Like we were looking at the insurance thing, and they're talking about a million bond to have an insurance company. Did the Mennonites go the million way? I don't know. They never replied yet. They got 2 emails. So, they're obviously not talking. So,
speak to the conclusion behind all of this too, from that behind the scenes, everyone's shaking hands and shit.
And that's a lot of their nationalities in there too, not saying anything, but they're all this probably their little branch that's their little way out, That's one of their branches out of the trap that they're set for everybody.
Yeah. And then ultimately it's supposed to be like that, just like with all the other entities that are here that aren't from here. They're gonna throw their guy in, and then their guy is gonna make sure that they get taken care of or whatever. That certain people have gone up to, they're at federal level now. As far as they came to this country, and then now they have a whoever in federal. You know, that's the work that they put in as far as getting out, trying to get something out. But then we know that, you know, if they made it that far, then obviously they're part of the jurisdiction, right? They're not there, you know, they're not going to be that when they go back to their country, unless they still have that position and they're ambassador for the whatever. But other than that, you know, just a role. Have us looking for, so all we gotta do is let's get a black guy in there. Black guy goes in there, sells you out. Oh yeah, let's get a Trini in there. Trini goes in there, sells you out. Okay, well, let's get a Jamaican in there. Jamaican goes in there, sells you out. Everybody who goes in there sells you out. And then everybody else who has somebody go in there, they just keep going up the thing. You know what I mean? And then we just not getting it. That it's the status game. You know, like we were talking about you know, all the threat of, well, say there are more and then lose everything, where you're not getting anything anyways. So
if you are here, it's not even in
your name or what? Not even in your name.
I was talking to another more, I don't know how I was going, but you start to realize we're in a recession right now. I don't know if people see that, but I start to realize that in these last couple of years, things have not been going as well as they should be. Everything's going up in price. But I think now we're, you know, it used to be like, well, I remember they were talking about in the 80s there was a recession. I didn't understand what that meant. I think I was too obviously young. I hadn't understood, but now I understand what it is. You know, food's gone up 20–30%. Travel's gone up. You know, your work, you're not making as much, like everything, rent's gone up. And that's what's called a recession.
That's a tax. Huh? Inflation tax.
Yeah, but it's an attack on us, and we're like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how other.
It's because we don't have our own thing going. If we have our own thing going, it doesn't affect us at all.
And why not? Why don't we have our own thing?
Well, we gotta concentrate on who we have.
Well, I agree with that to that extent, but I say this, and I say this to Cujo all the time. We have Global Joy League, 60 people show up. There should be 60 people at every meeting. Like, if we're really about this, there should be 60 people at every meeting. I don't get it.
I don't think we should focus our energy on getting that.
We just gotta keep building and make stuff, you know, like, because, you know, like you said, once the chicken is there and it's seasoned and it's barbecue right there,
line up.
If y'all was selling chicken, there would be a lot. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so we gotta just keep, you know, keep building with each other and keep, you know, the foundation, you know, step by step, and then turn around and then keep the line, decide it's helping us. You know, that's usually the case though. Once you finish, or you almost finish, or in the middle of doing it, like then people are coming for it. You're like at the beginning, and
they don't see it.
They can't see it. There's not, you know, there's not a lot of people natural born leaders or or leaders to people these days is people that exploit this. That's TV stuff. The real leaders, you gotta get something that shows you, lays the first foundation, sweating, you know, show you, that's a leader. You know what I'm saying? So people think leaders, we got just stand there, everything's wearing all white, no dirtiness, yes. No, that's not how it works.
Blue hats, Islam.
Like the whole thing with the Quran right there, like how Brother Quran was saying, it's the instruction book, you know, like how he's saying the life lessons, how Jesus risen from death. You know what I mean? He came to show us like you can conquer that, you know, literally, like not literally like, oh, you rise from like break your body and come back up and people are looking at you all squeaked out. No, not like that. It's mentally, you know? Yeah, like that's what it is, you know, like but that's what I'm saying, like you have all these different religions, there's so much confusion with religions and stuff, and it's saying the leader guys, you know, even some of the leader guys, like the pastors and whatnot, sold them, those people out. So it's like, what's soul foundation? People are still looking for earthly salvation. Even the Christians, they're still looking and searching. Christians Christians are still searching for something. You know what I mean? You got the Muslims still, you got some Muslims, you know what I mean, they contradict themselves, and I know a lot of Muslims, they contradict themselves, you know, and that's the teachings.
They're looking for nationality.
Yeah, they're looking for something else, you know, there's something else.
Finding itself in dogma.
Right? Right? So that's just what it is, and that's why the Quran that we have, you know, it's never been something like that before. And if anybody's visited it, it should be visited more often, more frequently, to just show us what we need to be to come together. You know what I mean? Because I don't think without that Quran right there, or for us going and visiting that Quran and just claiming to be Moorish Americans, we can really, you know, like be sound of mind and say, you know, we can all like, because that's an instruction. Simple. You got the instructions for the young ones, the instruction for marriage. You know what I mean?
How come we're not called Quran?
Right?
We're not called holy or instructions.
But then they got the circle 7 on it too, right?
Because like so we have a nationality, right? And that book is more on a religious, like, historical, but more religious, like all the Torahs and the Bible and everything. And I think a nation has to have, you know, the bloods, and has to have the spiritual side of it. So like a lot of people are trying to find everything in one. They're trying to find everything in the national, or they're trying to find everything in the
divine.
The Moorish movement is like perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're more of a national, then there's a divine side you can build up on. And they've been indoctrinating you with the divine side your whole life. So you have the national side you get caught up on. But you know, it's like
Rosita.
Islam. Any announcements back there, Omar? We got February 16th, Ottawa. At once again the Morissette Library building. Debunking Black History. This year we're gonna be doing the lecture with myself and Brother Sheldon L. out there. Should be a good one. Anything else back there, Omar?
February 10th, we have Town Hall. What is that?
No worry.
February 10th, Town Hall. And you know, I think it should be sort of unstated, but it should be stated that the Town Hall really is sort of government. We come together and we, and in previous cases as well as this one, trying to see where we'd like to be. And one of the things in talking to Fujo, we're looking at our new year being spring. So we're having a town hall a month before our new year, and wanting to sort of get some goals for us as this temple of regency for the next year. What I'm looking to do is having people sign off on that. Maybe we can come together and figure something out, whatever that may be as people. And if not, if there's just other issues to deal with, so that would be that. So that would be February 10th.
yeah, we gotta live our life, and we gotta do what we're meant to do, and not expect too much from people that's unconscious and sleeping. You know, or else we're gonna burn ourselves out, and we're gonna end up being more bitter than we were as unconscious ones.
Straight up.
Just reminding people about dues and donations. There will be some emails going out. Chairman will be putting some out. Any mores that are 3 months or more behind. Obviously, as we know, it takes energy and support to keep these things running. So, and membership is part of being a national. Membership comes with privileges, but it also comes with duties. So, if anyone, there will be emails going out, and then there will probably be phone calls going out for any of those who are more than 3 months behind. And we're hoping that if you're not being involved, and that's fair enough. And if you are, then you get yourself caught up. Islam.
And don't forget, if everybody noticed, we have another bunch of Moors out there or more out there that started some more lines. So we got the Islam shirt. It's religious science, not a dogma. And this is at nomoredaily.com. And then they got a white one. Yeah, No More Daily. And then they have a white one that has, they have those hi, my name is whatever. So it says, hi, my name is I'm not black. It says this shirt is white on the sleeve.
For real.
Yeah. So nomoredaily.com.
ANOW?
Yeah.
No more.
No more. No MOOR. Daily.com. Just go to the merchandise page. Oh yeah, and how was your sandwich there?
Oh man, that was the hands down. That's I never had a sandwich.
We just want to give it up for Brother Raquel today. He's very strong today. So.
Are these, do people know about this?
Oh yeah, yeah. You wanna just talk about the album?
Yeah, that's my Moorishness album. It's at the temple here. You can
$10
donation.
donation. Anyways, so.
Islam.
So music, you actually like it, not yeah, so willofallah.com for e-copies. For everybody to go to willofallah.com because then that's directly as the donations is going to help out the temple. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I push first. The temple is not here. The real Moors, the Moors that's real than me, that's about to wake up or whatever. This place needs to be here.
Wow. So this is just the beginning. You know this, right?
Yeah.
Our plan is hopefully to get the building. Make it like out the west, like what do you call it? The west. Like it would just be not the division, but the regency, right? The Western Regency, Eastern Regency, Hamilton.
And then also if there's anybody who knows artists or wants to do whatever, we have Brother Yasoon with RPM Studios at Brimley and Lawrence. So if you need to get in there, release some stress or whatever. Raquel, release. That's just one. Don't worry. Right.
But yeah, I was just, because I know more with their humbleness and stuff, like they might humble their way out of not making anything or doing anything. So just, everybody is gifted and talented in their own equal way. You just have to whatever you think you have, or if it's not complete or whatever, just get it going. And, maybe it's not supposed to complete this time. Maybe it's version 2 of it. You know what I'm saying? But in order for people to support you, you have to have something for them to support.
Yep. And then also too, yeah, and not limiting it. Even using Brother Yasoon as an example, not limiting it to just Moors doing it because it's a Moorish whatever. You know what I mean? Make sure, like, Brother Sumo had the album, giving it out to the youths at the school or whatever. You know what I mean? So that they have a different frequency of music to listen to. You know what I'm saying? They don't know nothing about. They're not saying they're Moors or nothing like that, but they could listen to some Moorishness. That's for sure.
Yeah, you'd be surprised to respond to it too.
Yeah. This Guyanese manager looking dude that was coming to our workplace, think we had to do with safety or whatever. Suit and tie and everything. So something just coming up. I hadn't seen nothing, just do it. Right? The next day, seen it from going, yo! I don't know what he's up to. The man comes with 5 things like, yo, you're Moorish. I'm like, Yeah, what happened? He's like, bro, my friend, I have a friend that's on this stuff for years now. He's been looking for you guys. For real. I had the cards on the film. I gave him 2 cards. I'm like, yeah, we're here, man. We're here. You know what I'm saying?
Wake up time. Wake up time.
There's a couple unconscious moors around rolling their eyes and shit.
Yeah, always.
Just shows right there, like, just for me,
Push it up.
just finding somebody that, who knows, right? Everybody needs this info, every nationality, because it's the truth, So, I'm just honored to be awakened and be amongst my real sister, and not die thinking that, live and die thinking that.
That's who I am.
Gates and stuff like that. European angels flying down. It's all good. Islam Wars. So let's get our closeout done, and we're here for a little bit. Face the east, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe. Father of love. Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. No withdrawal. Islam. Oh shit.
Yes. You're so long. I'm straight with you. I'm straight with you. Come on, I won't leave your ball.
You have them with you now?
Pardon?
You have them with you now?
Do I have them?
Yeah.
No, I never have them.
Oh, you never got it? Okay.